And hey, what's going on, everyone? It's me, Mr. Mario, and welcome to the last episode of the year of ModChat. This is episode 35, and who am I joined by on this episode?
What's up, guys? It's Devin Shoemaker here, also known as Paranoid Coder. How's it going, Mr. Mario? Glad to be here with you, man.
Oh, thanks. Glad to be here with you, and everything's going well on my end. Just we had to kind of scramble to get everything sorted here. Devin came in like 10 minutes ago, and then we started getting into, like, this crazy conversation stuff. It's like, oh, hey, 6:59, we should get set up. So here we are at this point.
Yeah, basically, I mean, half our conversations end up being like, should we save this for mod chat? Should we keep talking? So, I mean, we kind of walked right into this whole entire conversation, which is going to be our podcast. So,
Exactly. And speaking of that, so this is going to be a different episode. Now, this is a episode where, Devin, you've never been a part of this. We've only had one, but it's kind of a tradition, I guess I want to continue doing here. At the end of the year, last year, so the final episode for 2016, at the time, that's when Daniel was on the show, and then we had Johnny Guns on as a guest. And we all just kind of went in with no topics, and we said, hey, we're going to be dealing with the users right here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to, take questions, recommendations, all that stuff that they have, and we'll answer them. So that's how we're going to be operating this episode. It's probably not going to be the most organized thing. I do have maybe like one topic in here just to get things started. But aside from that, if we keep it modding, cool. If not, we can go on to other things as well, because with last year's episode, we kind of just did a bit of a mix of everything.
yeah, no, that sounds totally cool with me. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on right now, honestly, but I'm pretty chill with just kind of like seeing what the community wants to see, seeing what people in the audience want to talk about. And I'm sure there's plenty of stuff to fill in the gaps if we need to. So, like, I'm really excited to interact, see what people have to say.
For sure. Sure. Yeah. So anybody who's live here, we look forward to talking with you all and all that other fun stuff. One thing is somebody was saying in here, I believe James was saying that there was a little bit of echo. That might be your mic that's picking up my voice. Would it help if I close the door?
Probably. So for the people in the audience,
let me do that. You explain. I'm going to close the door real quick.
Right. So for the people in the audience, I'm at Mr. Mario's house right now. We live fairly close together. So when I come over here for the podcast, I'm at his house. His dog is right over here. Great dog, Lily. I'm sure you've seen her in plenty of his videos. She'll be traveling from room to room, I'm sure. So if there's any interruption, if we need to get up and like open the doorway so that she can get through, that may be what it's for. But right now we might have to close the door just in case there's any echo going on. I mentioned that to you I think like maybe 2 episodes ago, that I thought there may have been some echo going on.
And
so hopefully
it seemed to be fine at that point. Like, it was like a little bit. And then I know what you had done was you had kind of like brought down your voice a little bit, and that was fixing up. But no, what I did was I just closed the door, but I have it cracked open enough. So if Lily wants to bust through, she can. But she's normally pretty polite with it. Like, she'll just kind of like be there looking, and then I have to call her in and she'll bust through the door.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could show her more easily on the camera right now, but she's kind of just hanging out by the couch here. So we'll see what she ends up doing. If she wants to go into your room, then hopefully she can, figure that out. But yeah, if there's any more like noise, echo, let us know. Try to compensate for it. I'll try to lower my voice a little bit. It's kind of hard when I have both earbuds in.
Right. But yeah, one thing is, so I guess we can kind of start on a few things that have been asked, but one person was saying, and I kind of want to dispel this as well too, if there's a way you can soft mod a DSi or DSi XL. Some people are saying no, that you have to have a flash cart, but there is actually a custom firmware that's been developed for it recently. Have you seen anything about it?
I've honestly seen a bit of news about the DSi stuff, but I haven't kept up on it as much as I'd like to, so...
I think it's DSiGuide.me. I think that's the site where, it's if you go to that site, as I said, DSiGuide.me, it says a complete guide to DSi hacking from stock to rocket launcher plus Haya custom firmware. Now, the last time I checked on this, I'm kind of just pretending to go here. Yeah, it still says coming soon with everything. So I don't think all the stuff is set up on there yet. And as I said, it allows you to install a custom firmware called Rocket Launcher that's on there, or Haya custom firmware. I haven't heard of that one specifically. Now, I don't know if this will allow you to just, play games off an SD card, whatever it is, but the gist of it from what I saw is involved you getting a DSiWare game, exploiting that, and then downgrading from the latest firmware on that is 1.4.5 to 1.4.0. So you have to downgrade, and then at that point, it's question marks. Like, I don't know what you do afterwards.
Right. The DSi has been kind of an interesting beast because it's been, I mean, there hasn't been a whole lot of development for it at all over the course of the years. And over just the last, I say maybe 2 years, there's been a few exploits that have come out for it, kind of almost in the 3DS scene, like kind of mix and match. But I'm not sure what you would do with it for the DSi with this custom firmware. I haven't heard about it until you mentioned it, to be honest.
Let's see. I'm just reading off the page there. It says, what can I do with custom firmware? Play all DSiWare games without region locking, use ROM hacks for DSiWare games, manage saves for many DSiWare games, play games for older systems by using emulators, install homebrew titles to your system and have them appear on your Nintendo DSi menu, run many old Nintendo DS flash cards that were blocked long ago or never worked on the DSi or DSi XL.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's essentially what's going on with that. So it disables the region locking, obviously, and then you can run homebrew, all that fun stuff. It's mainly focused on DSiWare specifically. Of course, there's the whitelist on that. I'm kind of just reiterating everything in my own words. And then
Right.
the only thing you can install homebrew titles, but I don't know of too much DSi homebrew. Kind of
Why?
seeing more of a focus on it is I feel like now we have the right people on there, and also people got a little bit bored with 3DS stuff. They're like, hey, let's backtrack one system. Nobody ever really looked at this DSi thing.
Right, and I honestly never had a DSi myself, so I never really got into the homebrew scene of that console. But it is interesting that I mean, from what I know, it's been a fairly locked down system for quite a while. I mean, only until recently it seems like more and more development has come out for it.
And I feel like it was locked out not really because of security issues, more because of a lack of interest and lack of development itself.
Yeah, I mean, I could believe that for sure. The DS Lite and the DS Fat was kind of like busted wide open at that point. There was a lot of flash cards, a lot of development going for it, a lot of homebrew, and there didn't really seem to be a whole lot of reason to look into exploring to the DSi at that point.
Yeah, I kind of actually want to, with that segue, to actually answer one person's questions on here. It's still in the topic, but it's someone was asking, why would you want to soft mod DSi when you can soft mod a new 3DS and use a R4 card? Simple reason is I think that's usability. Yeah, you might not be able to do too much on there, but like I myself, I mean, I do many modifications because I can on that system. I think it was just more of a interest there where people were, as I said earlier, getting bored with 3DS related stuff. So they looked into the DSi and said, hey, we can do a few things here. So why the hell not?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you have a DSi laying around that's 10 years old or however old that console is, I mean, it's pretty old at this point. I would imagine a lot of people will just have that kind of thing just sitting around, probably not doing a whole lot of active gaming on it. So
yeah, I'm actually looking. The DSi, it came out for the very first time in Japan, November 1st, 2008. So yeah, it's almost 10 years old. Damn. No, I was gonna say,
approaching.
Like, even so, I think about a year ago, stores are just getting rid of them. Now they're kind of up in price a little bit. But at one point, I don't know if you'd seen this, but GameStop was clearing out all their DS stuff, not 3DS, but they were selling the original DS for $10, DS Lites for $20, DSi's for 30 and DSi XLs for 40.
That's really cheap. I mean,
yeah. I kind of want to get a an original DS just for giggles, and also because it was only $10, but no one had them. Like no GameStops in my area had them.
really, I wasn't aware of that, because if that sale was going on, I would have definitely been all about it, but I had no idea. The only my first DS was actually it was a fat 3DS and then a new 3DS XL. I'm sorry, a fat 3DS XL and then a new 3DS XL. I didn't really get into that whole entire scene until much later in the game, but if I had the opportunity to pick up an earlier console, I definitely would at this point.
Right. I know my first one, I got a DS Lite, and then I got into the original 3DS. I got an OG 3DS, and then the only DS consoles I've owned the DS Lite, and I have a DSi XL.
Okay. Yeah, I never owned a DSi. Never owned a Fat 3D or Fat 2DS either. But I had a DS Lite, and that's about it. I had an R4 card much, earlier on in the flash card days. I think it was one of the original R4s, but
Are you talking about the one that had like only the 2 GB limit to it?
yeah.
Okay. Yep, that is the original. The cool thing is about that booted up the fastest.
No, I mean, it served its purpose. Definitely did well. Even now, I still have some homebrew on it, that like a Game Boy Color emulator that still works on it. Like, I still enjoy it a lot. So,
Yeah, it's fun stuff. One thing here, I guess it looks like one person was asking this. How many systems have you bought? Any funny or annoying stories? I'll actually pass this on to you, Devin, if you could think of some you want to say first.
no, I mean, okay, so it's kind of in the modding territory. So when I got my PSP, right, I was 12 years old, give or take a year, and I got the PSP from a Best Buy, and I got it for a birthday present, and my mother ended up getting a warranty on it. And the warranty was very weird, right? So it was a 2-year warranty with a year buffer, kind of. So if you replace the device for the warranty within a year, then you would get a 2-year extension. And there was a couple of times where I modded my device and maybe bricked it to get a new device, whether it was a new model of the PSP, maybe the PSP 2000, or it was just replace a crack on my screen or a scratch. But I don't know if that falls in that kind of territory, but
Kind of warranty hustling, I guess. Was that the one you told me about, the Best Buy one that you had before?
yeah, I mean, I think I had about 10 replacements total. So I bent the hinge on the PSP 1000 had the kind of a spring hinge. So for the UMDs, so if you hit a latch, the UMD drawer would open. If you bent that slightly down, it wouldn't work anymore. It was a very precise kind of a arrangement they had going on there. So there was a couple times where I replaced the PSP for that. But yeah, no, I kind of hustled Best Buy just a bit there. 12-year-old Devin.
Oh, fun.
But
Yeah, I think recently I actually did have a brick. For a while, I was thinking that I hadn't bricked anything, at least uh, with soldering stuff. I hadn't done anything for a while that was horrible to the point of destroying any of the systems. But recently, no, I decided to try my hand. I didn't do a video, and I was planning to do a video if I get everything working. So I guess will be like the one time you all hear about this. But I had gotten a hold of a Xenon Xbox 360. It was fully updated like this year and everything. And I was just playing around with it. So I was like, you know what? Just for giggles, let's try to RGH this thing. Some people might say, you're stupid. You can't RGH a system. They're unreliable. I know they're unreliable. And you actually can RGH them. It is... When it comes down to the CPU, it's mostly on that. If you have a Xenon 360 original model with a Canadian CPU, you can RGH 1.2 it with a good amount of luck. If you have something else, like some with a Taiwanese CPU, then you really can't RGH it. Apparently, there's a new method called like the RGH 1.2 TTL method, which works on all Xenons, but it's not for playing at all. It's just for like CPU key grabbing and all that stuff. So really, you could just grab your sensitive data off the console itself, and that's all you can do. You can't use it as a fully blown RGH system. But I'd cleaned up the system. I'd flashed DVD drive, and then I said, you know what? Let me try my hand at this. Now, I was admittedly too lazy to actually, look at the CPU, and also I didn't have any thermal compound cleaner, and I just didn't want to use, any other stuff. So, well, it wasn't just the cleaner; I didn't have any thermal compound on hand either. So, what I decided to do is I decided to just give a shot, give it a shot, put everything in, and say, hey, let's see if this works. If it works, awesome. If not, it would be a fun learning experience. And I ended up trying 2 chips on there. I tried a Matrix Glitcher and I tried a Ace V3. And there is a resistor at the very bottom, like underneath one of the X clamps, because there's a point that you have to hit. And in order to, or I think it's a resistor, I believe. But no, in order to get to one of those points, you have to take the resistor off the board and then solder one of the wires to one of the solder pads on there. So I'd gotten everything wired up. My only regret is really not taking pictures, because I'll tell you, I was very careful with everything, and it was honestly my cleanest RGH install. And funny enough, it didn't work, but I got, my wire placement down. I had everything set up properly. I was proud of this install. I tried a bunch of different files. As I said, I tried multiple chips, did not boot at all. So I said, you know what, this is kind of a lost cause. But what happened was I decided to take all of the, remove all the wires, all that stuff. I did not have the resistor though. I did not have that. So I like it fell off my table and got onto my floor, and it's buried in my carpet somewhere. So I said, well, let's just see if this works. I looked it up online a bit, and some people were saying, for those little resistors, you can kind of just bridge the 2 points there. And I said, I don't care about this console that much. Sure, let's see if it works. So I bridged the 2 points, reflash retail to it, red ring every time, red ring. And I was like, well, the system worked. I tried experimenting with it. It didn't work. This is a fun learning opportunity, but the end, nothing on that. So it's gone now. It's gone. It's in Xbox 360 heaven or wherever the hell they go to.
Yeah. It's a bummer, man.
Just a slight bummer.
Even the Mr. Mario can fault on some Xbox modding. Jeez.
I absolutely, like, I come to terms with that. I am not a professional by any means.
I mean, I feel like, especially as of lately, you've been modding more consoles than I have, but I don't think I've ever actually fully bricked a console that I've ever worked on.
I'll tell you this, Devin. I'm gonna piece this story back to that one, but I have another RGH. This one I successfully did, but it was literally I had everything down to the point. At the very end, it kept red ringing. No matter what I did, it would red ring. So I said, okay, first thing you do, you try and revert back to stock, just like flash retail to it and see if it works. So I removed all of my wiring, flashed retail, cleaned everything up. Still red ring, same air, everything. I could not get it to boot. So that was actually extremely disappointing, because I was like, man, this is actually a good console, and it was working right up until the end. Right up until the end, for whatever reason, it red ringed. So I kind of I gave up on it. I remember I just put everything back in the cage, but I didn't put the system back together. And I just waited a day or two. I tried even cleaning it that day as well, but nothing happened. But like a few days later, I just had some time. I came back to it. Whatever reason, I hooked everything up. I turned it on. It still had retail, still had a retail NAND on it. But for whatever reason, when I turned it on, it worked. And I turned it off, turned it back on, it worked just fine. Reset glitched it again, it worked.
Wow.
And it works to this day. But I don't know. As I said, I got to I successfully completed a install, and at the very end, dead. Like red ring. I can't explain that. Even when I reflashed to retail and removed all my work and cleaned it up, it was still dead until it just came back to life a few days later. Like it was Jesus.
Well, consider yourself lucky, man. And I actually do. I have two. I have two memories that are fucking. They're bad.
Okay, share them. Share them.
All right. They're not really bricks. They're both hardware faults. But I mean, depending, I guess, your definition of brick. I mean, so the first story, you know, at this point in my life, I had been through a cell phone repair job. I had worked on many PSPs. I had worked on many devices. I had worked on Xboxes. I had touched many devices. Many devices. All right. And my little brother broke his sorry, it was just a DS, and it was a I forget what it was. It might have been I think it was a Palkia Dialga kind of limited edition DS Lite, right? And when he broke the hinges, so it couldn't flip up and down anymore. And he bought he didn't really buy it, but I worked with my mother and whatnot, and we got him a replacement housing, and it was a Mario themed housing. It looked good. Like, I was like, I can replace this. Little did I know that the DS Lite was actually, compared to a lot of different things, rather difficult to replace the housing on. There was a lot of wires that were running through the hinges. A lot of things that required soldering when a lot of things shouldn't. I mean, it wasn't a very repairable device, and I ended up breaking the DS while repairing it. I ripped like I forget what it was, honestly, but I ripped some kind of like pad off of like some motherboard. I mean, something that's like irreplaceable, right? This is not we're not talking about a cable breaking. We're talking about a pad ripping off of the motherboard.
That's painful.
And I had, dude, and my little brother, who's like, I mean, at this point, I can't remember how old he was. I mean, maybe 9 years old, 10 years old, and he's, and I'm with him, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna repair this with you. So I'm like fixing this DS with him in the room, and I hit this point where I realized that the whole thing is just messed up. And my little brother looked at me and he's just like, is everything okay? And I was like, no. Like, I think I might have just messed up your DS for good. So, wasn't really a software brick, but I mean, it was a pretty rough, like, physical hardware repair experience. Now, luckily, I helped replace the DS. We got everything sorted out. Like, we got him a new DS. Everything was good. So, like, everything worked out in the end. But it was a really rough physical experience of, like, being in the moment and actually, like, literally breaking the physical components of the device.
And I'm sure
I don't know if you've ever been there.
I'm sure for a bit you were trying to just kind of hide it, be like, it's okay. No, I can fix this. No, I can't.
No, definitely, right? And there's a moment of like, can I fix this, right? When you mess something up that's like, I don't know.
Well, it's your brother's console. I understand that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like integral to the console itself. Like when you rip something off of the motherboard, you're like, huh, can I tape this down? Like, I mean, it's metal, right? There's conductive energy, so can I just like tape this like little pad down for a second and hope his console works? But no, it was like right in the hinge mechanism. It was not a good look. But he's playing video games right now. He's got a 3DS. He's fucking doing his thing. So
he's doing well for himself.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, the world works out. But for the time being, I definitely bricked his 3DS, 2DS, whatever it was. But
yeah. Oh, well, at least he's sorted now, so that's good.
Say what?
At least he's sorted now, so that's good.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I don't think it bothers him at the moment. because he's playing his video games. He's actually got a Switch now. He saved up his money. He got a Switch.
Nice. I know he was trying to get one for a while, but now
Yep.
also they're much easier to find.
Yeah, definitely. So he's had a Switch for a while. I think he's almost got 200 hours into Zelda.
Props. Major props.
Yeah. Major props. Definitely. So.
What was that second story? Or were they kind of combined?
Oh, let's see. What was the second story? What was the second story?
I don't know. You had two. Brick related.
I know I had two. The second one could have been my Pandora battery story. When I tried to, so there was whether you call it the jig kick or the Pandora battery.
Yes, yeah, the jig kick was the original name.
Right, depending on when you got into the scene. But back then I was a young hacker, young developer. Didn't have a lot of money. I bought a spare PSP battery and tried to make like a jig kick battery out of it by actually you'd use pliers and like actually clip off like parts of the connections to the motherboard that the battery had, right?
Yeah, no, I remember that. There was like one tiny resistor on there, and if you didn't want to flash it, you could just literally rip open the battery and rip that resistor off, and it would go into service mode.
Right. So the batteries at that time were like $45.
That's about right.
Right. So I had like money, and I like gave my mother the money, and I was like, I need a battery to do this with, because I can't mess up my actual battery for my PSP, right?
Yeah, no, I understand.
My mom was literally like, do you really want to do this? Because I was pretty upfront about like what I was going to do. I was like, I'm going to rip this thing open and like try and like hack this thing. Because by this time I was like coding and stuff like that. I mean, she understood the territory that I was in, but also at the same time, when you're like, I want to spend $45 on a battery that I might screw up, my mom was like a little bit concerned, you know. But I did it anyway. Stayed up late, cracking the battery open, and I broke it. I ripped, like, while I was like, because you had to split the casing of the battery open, right?
Yeah.
So while I was actually splitting the casing of the battery open, I was almost done. I had a box cutter or whatever, chipping away at the battery casing for a while. When I split the battery casing open, the little chip that was tied to the actual like lithium ion battery broke off, which was tied to the. It was the component that was tied to the pins that you actually like that touched the pins on the PSP, right?
Yeah.
So that component ripped with like when I split the battery apart for the first time with the plastic, that component like broke off visibly. Like half of it went with the left side, half of it went the right side. And I was just like, oh my God. I mean, as a 12, 13-year-old, $45, $50, something like that for a freaking PSP battery.
I mean, at that point, yeah, especially if you don't have like steady income coming in, because you know you're 14.
I
15, like
do not. I did not.
$45. I mean, multiply that by about 5, and that's what it feels like now.
Dude, $45 now would not be a pleasant.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, okay, I'll give you that. That's true. Yeah.
I mean, dang, if I had a battery for a console that just $45 down the drain, like, man, that's kind of sucks. So at the time, it sucked. So not only did I not have a hacked PSP at the time, but I split a battery pack open, I broke it, and I lost 45, maybe, I would say on average, probably $45. As a 12, I mean, maybe a 13-year-old. I mean,
that's a sad story, man. I feel for you on that. That's why I never tried to open those batteries. I'm just like, hey, I could do this all through homebrew. This works out.
Yep. And I don't think I've showed you it yet, but Dell came out with their battery conversion tool. The Detel service tool or whatever
Are
they
you
called
talking
it.
about the little device that like you have to plug into power and then you pop the battery in? You can flip that switch that moves it from normal mode to
Yep.
service mode.
Yes, you literally put any PSP battery in it, and it converts it into service mode so that you can use the Pandora setup. I have that still, so I need to freaking bring it on the podcast.
Yes, please. I want to see that. The only other time I knew about it was I remember I saw it come out, and who was it? At the time I was working at a game shop, and there was one guy who came in, kind of a weird guy. Only saw him once, but he came in and we started getting onto the topic of modding, and I was like, oh, this is great because I don't ever get to talk about modding with people in real life, and this is of course way before I knew you, Devin, or any of that other fun stuff. But the thing that was weird, it wasn't like any of his mannerisms or anything. The way I found out that he was just off was he told me he had 25 Pandora batteries.
Why would you ever need 25 Pandora batteries?
And that's what I asked him, because he even told now the reason why I'm relating it to this is because he told me, he's like, hey, do you have that tool? Do you have the tool that switches it over? And I was like, no, I backed mine up. I flashed. He's like, oh, no. I got a little tool. You put the battery in and you can switch it and it goes to service mode. Then you can switch it back and it goes to, regular mode. Like that's honestly how he was. And so he knew a lot more about these batteries than I did. He's like, oh, no, I got like 25 of these batteries. And I even asked at the time, I was like, why do you have 25? Do you sell them? He's like, no, I just have 25.
I just have 25.
There, like 16 or 17-year-old me, it's like, okay, I love modding, and like, granted, I have like my closet is just full of a bunch of redundant consoles that I don't need. But I'm like, what? Why do you? If you're selling them or giving them away, I understand. But who the fuck has 25 just because?
No, that is very unnecessary. Dang, 25 batteries. Yeah, no.
I'll say
I've not had 25 batteries. I've had a couple.
Yeah, no, Devin, I'll just say this. He is the type of person who you can imagine would have 25 Pandora batteries.
Yeah. That's a little bit much. But, I mean, I don't know. The PSP wasn't even popular enough to, like, sell those at that ratio. Like, how many people do you know?
Well, not only that, but this was like 2009, 2010.
Right. So, like, how many people do you know that have PSPs? Like, what are you going to do with all those batteries?
I guess there were a lot of people that had PSPs, but then most people weren't using them. But yeah, no, I asked him, like, because I thought he might have sold them. He's like, no, I just have them. I don't get it.
I mean, collector's items, I guess. You can sell those to the end of time.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to change, right? They're still going to be like the same kind of jig kick battery.
It'll be service mode.
Right. It's binary, so it's either service mode or not. So
exactly.
Hey, he's investing like he's putting his money on Bitcoin, all right? He's in it for the long haul.
Exactly. He's hodling.
Yeah.
Yeah. I might want to talk about that at one point later on. But
yeah.
I want to grab a few questions that were kind of up here. And sorry, we've just been on this topic, guys. But this is a quick one. It's like, do you think original Xbox games will have Xbox Live on the Xbox One? Absolutely not. And it's not going to happen. Do you have a different thought on it?
No, not really. I mean, the infrastructure just to put it in place to...
It's dead.
Yeah, I mean, as a person who does software development for a living, let's see. Let's just think about, like, Fusion Frenzy. All right? Think about the code that was written for Fusion Frenzy.
Hold on. I'm going to stop you right there. Fusion Frenzy didn't have Xbox Live compatibility on it. Let's do...
Not?
No, it didn't. Let's...
Was it all local?
Yeah, because it was a launch game.
No shit.
Yeah.
Okay, let's use your Fusion Frenzy.
Halo 2.
Halo 2, that's such an obvious choice, but we'll go with Halo 2.
Yeah. Oh, I want to ask you the noob question. Hey, so they remade Halo 2 on Master Chief Collection. Couldn't they just port the netcode over onto the original Xbox version?
No. I don't know how they did the Master Chief Collection, because that is impressive. I mean, that is very impressive.
How they did the Master Chief Collection.
Yeah, no, it's applaudable, because I mean, me from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, coding, it's pitiful. it's disgusting. I don't want to look at that stuff. I mean, so how these people are porting, I mean, the Master Chief Collection is very impressive. Because I've played like some of the Halo 2 levels. Halo 2 was my game, the Halo version that I played by far the most. And the Master Chief Collection, playing some of the Halo 2 maps, were very impressive. I didn't feel like I was playing something junky, that was new, that was had different physics, that had different anything. I mean, it felt like the Halo 2 that I played back on the Xbox. And that is very impressive. But I don't know.
We were
we
were talking about original Xbox games getting live enabled again.
Yeah, but I feel like you had something to say there for a second, but as far as getting live enablement again, I mean, just the age of the code and like having to refactor that for like new code is just very unrealistic and just doesn't seem worth it at all as far as a business perspective goes. I don't know if you have any other opinions on it, but I mean,
no, I mean, I agree with you on that. I know there was that, of course, that homebrew Xbox Live that's kind of, I don't know anything about it at this point. The last time I spoke about it was with Kiwi Dog, and he just said, hey, my friend gave me the code, and I gave it to someone else, and it's out of my control, but it's kind of halted. And that was several episodes ago on ModChat, probably 6 or 7 months ago, something like that. But no, it wouldn't be worth it for Microsoft at all. That's why I just said, like, straight up, it will be a nope on that.
yeah.
Although,
and I find it. Go on.
Well, I was going to say, when you were talking about Master Chief Collection, kind of circling back to that, there was a post. I'll link it to you, but it was somebody who was from 343 Industries. And when I had said, I really wasn't joking when I said not even they know how they ported the Master Chief Collection. Because one guy, he came out and he said, hey, so look, and he was talking about it from a non-technical perspective. He's like, look, I'm not a coder. Technical stuff, that's not my expertise, but I'm going to try and explain as best I can. And in short, he said, we are going to fix Master Chief Collection. There are several reasons why it was broken. First off, we did not test it properly. We test it internally. We didn't test it in a proper production environment, which is what we're supposed to do and what we normally do, but we didn't. Second, we made a lot of assumptions, and many of those assumptions were incorrect. And third, the Xbox Live infrastructure for Xbox One was actually not doing the stuff that we needed it to at that point. Now, several years later, he's like, we needed time because now there has been so many updates and more infrastructure available to the new Xbox One, Xbox Live, and we can use those improvements to fix the game. We needed those improvements, but we didn't have them a few years ago when we ported these games over. So I thought that was a pretty interesting post. But yeah, no, in short, 2018, Master Chief Collection's finally supposed to get fixed. And it's supposed to get Xbox One X support.
Well, hopefully so. I mean, I didn't have a whole lot of experience with it. I don't have an Xbox One or a PS4. I don't have any modern console other than the Switch right now. But I played on a friend's console, and I played through several Halo 2 maps, and I was very impressed. So if it gets any better, then I don't know. That's very impressive. I'm glad they're keeping the whole Halo franchise alive because they did a lot for the Xbox, and I don't know. I don't keep up with it that much, but it doesn't seem like the Halo franchise these days is actually sustaining a lot of the modern consoles. Like, a lot of the Halo flagships don't seem to be retaining a lot of the attention.
No, not so much. I'm not even sure really what's been going on with like the Halo 5 front of things. I know for people like me who really play it for the story, Halo 5 was a really big flop in that department. And then when it came to multiplayer, they've been really working at supporting it. But it doesn't seem like either side are happy. And by either side, I mean there's the, the casual, regular, non-competitive players, and there's the competitive esport players. And it seems like neither really stays happy for too long when it comes to Halo 5, at least from what I've observed with it.
Right. I mean, Halo 2 had a really competitive scene, and Halo 3 even, I feel like, still followed in that quite a bit.
Hmm.
But after that, I don't know.
Yeah, Halo 4 really had no competitive esports type thing going on.
Yeah.
I
I
think
mean,
it
I don't
did
know.
briefly, but you know, I actually I have a friend who he was going to be going MLG in Halo 3, and I know a lot of people say that no, this guy he's told me his story. It's fascinating. We talked about this years ago, and maybe one of these days I need to sync up with him and just do a recording for a few hours and just be like, hey. I want to just interview you. Tell me about your time you almost went pro in Halo 3, because it will go on for. So, and people, let me know if you're interested in it, because it would be probably like a 1 or 2 hour story. But it's fascinating. He's met with several of the iconic Halo 3 and Halo 2 pros, and he got into it like if he got in a little bit earlier, like a few months earlier, he could have had a pro contract, but because of timing he wasn't able to get it, and just because of a lot of other changes that happened.
I think that would be really interesting, to be honest. I wouldn't even mind hearing about that, regardless.
I'll
Um,
have to have him tell the story. If I tell it like through telephone game, it won't be as entertaining. I'm going to miss a lot of details.
yeah, no, absolutely. I think we should get him on the show at some point.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool. Yeah, guys, anyone in chat, let me know what y'all think about that. But let me also see what else has been going on with chat here. One person they were so I was thinking of tackling, like one person was thinking if it was worth upgrading from the Xbox One to the Xbox One S. I personally don't see a point to upgrade that. I think if you're going to upgrade, just upgrade to the One X. I don't know about you, Devin.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had any of the consoles in that generation, to be honest. But to me, it doesn't seem at all worth it to go to the One S at this point. Um,
Exactly.
which I don't know. PlayStation has been kind of playing it safe this generation, but I feel like for kind of that reason, the Xbox scene has kind of gotten a little bit more confusing this
Well, because they're
generation.
they're trying to make Xbox as a service. They want Xbox to be, what was it? They want it to be, just an ecosystem on itself. They no longer really want to associate it with hardware. I find it like I think it's plausible where for the next generation Xbox, so to speak, we will see a Windows-based Xbox branded ecosystem, where you could play things on your Windows devices. You might be able, I don't know, maybe even once it gets to this point, stream games from a Microsoft service, but it's under the Xbox brand and play them on, a Surface tablet or your Windows phone, whatever it might be, as long as they don't deprecate Windows Phone. And then when it comes down to the actual hardware, I think it will really just be limited PCs inside of cool looking hardware that is branded Xbox, but it's not going to be a true Xbox console. It's just going to be a system that will only be limited to Xbox type things, which is kind of what we have with the Xbox One now. But it's still it's a game console that heavily relies on online connections. That's really what it is at this point.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because it's a very different paradigm. But just in the last, I'd say, 2 days or so, there's been a lot of news about the Mac OS ecosystem and like the next major Mac update, starting to support iOS apps, and Chrome OS is starting to support Android apps. So there's going to be an interesting bridge, I think, between Xbox and Microsoft and like mobile apps that will need to happen to kind of um, bridge the gap or catch up. Because let's say Mac OS or Chrome OS just gets every Android app or Mac or iPhone app compatible and just right out of the gate. There's an update and then bam, every app that's compatible with either of those platforms is available. That's a huge gap that Windows can't meet, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like Microsoft has to do something to kind of catch up with that in some way.
They're trying to. From what I've seen, they've been trying to do that with their branding and all that, but it's been difficult for them. We've seen them do, of course, with the Xbox. The Xbox is probably their most successful consumer type thing out there, aside from Microsoft Windows. And even the Xbox division has really never made them a profit, to my knowledge. I think now they may be profiting a bit off it, but like it's never been a cash cow by any means. Microsoft themselves, they've made their money off of businesses and the other software that they develop, but they've tried to get into the consumer market multiple times with, I know, like the Surface tablets they have and the Surface Pros and all that stuff. But they're really, really expensive. They have Microsoft stores, which are great, but they don't really it's really the Microsoft equivalent of Apple stores, but I see Apple stores a lot more populated. Years and years ago, of course, they tried to get into the portable music player scene with the Zune, with the Zune block of devices, but that also flopped as well too. For whatever it is, Apple has done really well getting into that consumer market and making people feel like we have to have the latest thing. We have to do this upgrade. While Microsoft really gets laughed at for that stuff.
Yeah, Microsoft is an interesting place. And I mean, it's to an extent, it's almost surprising that they're still doing so well in the gamer space, right? It's good. I mean, I think it's good they did so well with the Xbox One X. They seem to have impressed a lot of people. It seems to be doing well. It seems to have proven its point to an extent, right? I don't think the Xbox One X is a flop at all, from what I've heard. Could be better, sure, but it seemed to serve its purpose. But yeah, I don't know. The sustainability is still in question, I guess.
One X, it's a fantastic piece of hardware. It's just we need the software to back it now. We're now seeing like Microsoft. It's funny they've really been going after. They've been trying to at least get some exclusives here and there, and it's not even so much. They don't have Xbox exclusives. Xbox exclusives for the most part aren't a thing anymore. Yeah, there are some games that still aren't on the Windows platform, such as like I think Forza 5, Halo 5, the full version is not on there. Halo Master Chief Collection, that's not on there. But many other games are now Microsoft exclusives or, Xbox service exclusives, so to speak, which is what they're aiming for. There's nothing really there's just no exclusivity to like true Xbox exclusivity, which is why I'm saying that I believe they are aiming to go towards Xbox as a service and just have a Xbox branded piece of hardware for you to play your games on if you want to play them on your couch hooked up to your big TV as opposed to on your computer.
Yeah. I almost wonder if they could bring in some kind of like Steam streaming kind of aspect. If they could like figure out how to like I don't know whether it's actually working with Steam or bring their own kind of like thing, but if they could like stream their services to the TV as well, they could bring in that kind of like Chromecast dongle like ease of use. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft could really excel because I'm a Linux user, but I realize that if I'm going to play any like serious gaming type stuff, I'm gonna boot into my Windows partition and I'm gonna play on Windows, and that's just how it's gonna be because that's the reality of like computing, PC gaming is that it's all on Windows right now. And if I could stream that to my PC through some dongle using all Microsoft stuff, that's really tempting.
They actually, I don't know if you saw this, but before the Xbox One came out, or maybe shortly after, at one point, it was rumored that there was a Xbox branded type dongle of some kind that was going to be a Chromecast style, but Xbox ecosystem streaming device of some kind. So that could be a reality. It's at least been tested.
I've not heard of that, but I wouldn't be surprised at all. I'm an avid user of Chromecast right now, and between music and YouTube and a variety of other things, I use my Chromecast all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to have that for just playing games on my TV. sometimes I enjoy playing at my keyboard and mouse, but other times I just want to relax on my couch. So
Yeah, no, I kind of go into the comments here. At least one person was saying we got super sidetracked. You know, that's the beauty of this episode here. That's why it's kind of just because it started off with the original question, Devin, to that was now wrapping that all. The original question was, would it be worth going to the Xbox from the Xbox One to the Xbox One S? And then we just talked about all of this. But I love that conversation.
yeah, no, there's a lot of elements to it. I mean, I guess depending on like kind of what kind of gamer or hacker you are, there's a lot of different levels that you can go into. So
yeah. A lot of people are also saying on here, you know, they'd love to see Halo 3 on PC. That's what people have been waiting for ages, and that's the one that is always asked for, funny enough. I think the one that would have made the most sense probably, which we already got, was Halo Wars, because it's a damn RTS. It should have been on PC. It's finally on PC now. Halo Wars 1 and 2 are on there. But no,
really?
Halo 3 on PC would be absolutely fantastic. That's kind of what Halo Online was supposed to be.
Where was Halo Wars available?
Steam and the Microsoft Store.
Really?
Or Windows Store. I don't know. The Windows 10 application store. Yeah.
I never ended up playing Halo Wars, to be honest, but it seemed fairly interesting. I was never into RTS style games, though.
It's a very good RTS for a game on console that uses for an RTS game that uses a controller on console. As an RTS itself, though, no, it really doesn't hold much to other games, and it's an RTS game with training wheels on it. So It's supposed to attract Halo fanboys, Halo fans, and people who are wanting to get into RTS games. But for people who are already legacy RTS players, it would not go on their radar at all. It's something that like they would not have interest in.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure like every generation of Halo players will have their Halo game that is like the pinnacle. But the one Halo game that I wish I ended up playing more of, like on PC, was Halo 2. I never really played that much on PC. I played it on Xbox nearly until it died. My dad was actually one of the like last bundles of people that played until it was like completely kicked off the servers. The last stint, and my dad was still playing. So like Halo 2 was my jam. Halo 3 was pretty decent. It was pretty good.
See, it was Halo 3 for me because that was my first online Halo.
Really?
Yep. I completely missed out on the original Xbox Live.
Oh man, Halo 2 was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah, when I played it later on, because I played it a few times, I was like, oh, this is really fun. It's hard, but it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, it was very bare bones, right? There wasn't as much fluff, I feel like. It was very straightforward, just kind of like Slayer style, like killing, very skill based. There was a lot more glitches in the games and the maps.
That's actually one reason why I didn't like it, because I didn't know all the glitches and all the people were using them against me in matchmaking. People I was just the group of people I was trying to play with at the time were also just dicks about that as well too. But I remember I was talking with a friend. He did bring up a good point. Like, I tried to bring up the glitches. Like, yeah, no, that's why it's not as bad. Because he was saying Halo 2 is more balanced than Halo 3. And I was saying, no, because people are using all these glitches. He's like, yeah, there's BXR and BXB, and everybody on Halo 2 knows how to do them. So there, it's even.
Right. I mean, yeah, there was definitely like, yeah, battle rifles were very overpowered in Halo 2. There was a lot of glitches. You could get out of the map. You could do super jumps. Depending on like how you knew the map and how other people knew the map, you could definitely dominate. But with Halo 2, it was also, I mean, even like in a completely free-for-all setting where two people didn't know Halo 2, I felt like it was a much more even matchup kind of game, right? You had weapons on the map. There weren't power-ups. There weren't any kind of shields. There weren't anything that like Halo 2 introduced. It was a lot more of just a skill versus skill kind of matchup, right?
Yeah.
And the other side of Halo 2 was that you could explore the glitches. You explore the exploits. You could explore the super jumps. You could explore getting out of the map. So the possibilities were endless. So I felt like it had the most narrow point of view. Like if you want to just have like two people who had never played Halo 2, this is going to be an interesting matchup. It's going to be a very good matchup. It's going to be a very fair matchup. But two people who were like experienced with Halo 2 waded into some debauchery. Like, it wasn't a normal game anymore. It was people getting out of the map, it was people doing glitches, people exploiting the game. Like, so it did have very wide reach for me.
When you're saying it wasn't even a normal game, one of the things I heard of, which I would have loved to see, was mod battles, where it was like a team of modded users versus another team of modded users. I heard those were really fun.
So I think I described a little bit of this on an episode, maybe 2 episodes ago, on talking about Excellent Kai. So I didn't go online and I did not mod in a public setting very often. But when I did, it was on Xlink Kai. So there was a modding server on Xlink. And so I'd go on there and I'd create my own like session. Other people could join my session, and it would be like, I mean, very upfront, this is the server room, modding. Crazy debauchery going on. Join this at your own will. People would come in, and it would just be a modding fest. I mean, people that were modding their own things, people shooting tanks out of plasma rifles. The tanks were shooting, warthogs that flew. So it was incredible. And to an extent, it was like everyone who had their own, like whatever like software mods you were running on your own console, you would control. So other people would come in with their own software mods, and it seemed like everyone was kind of pitching in. So we'd have these crazy lobbies with totally like acceptable stuff because it was this own modding server on Xlink, right? And it was amazing because people would just kind of pitch in with their own mods and do whatever they wanted to without any kind of recourse.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
It's still up, so I wonder how often that happens. I'm sure it still happens, a little bit.
Hopefully. I haven't checked it on Xlink in a long time. You said it's still up and running, at least in some capacity?
It still is.
Wow. It's been a long time since I've checked.
You can kill a service, but you can't kill a tunnel.
No. Right. It's very true.
Yeah.
If there's at least one user participating on the service, then I mean...
One question I want to lift here was, Devin, I'll have you go first on this one because I'm trying to think of the title, honestly. I'm trying to pick something here, but what game did you most regret buying?
Ooh, wow.
I know, right? I have to think about that. Because there's a lot of bad games I've bought knowing they were bad games.
Okay, yeah, that's a tough thing because, like, I don't know.
You want to kind of think about this a bit and revisit it?
Maybe because as a kid, I didn't buy that many games. I didn't get that many games. I mean, I was very grateful for the few games that I had, and I don't really remember any games that I like, even if they were gifted to me, that I super regret getting. I feel like they were all pretty solid. There may have been a Rocket Power Game Boy Advance game in there.
I'm even thinking like some of the games I bought when I was a kid, like looking back in hindsight, they're bad. But back then I was just like, oh, this is
awesome.
It wasn't even, some of them I thought were awesome, but others I was like, oh, this could be better, but I'm okay with it. Like I didn't like at this point now, if I go back and play the game where I look at it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's absolute dog shit. But I'm really trying to think of a game that I truly
the Tarzan Game Boy Color game.
I never played it.
That had a rumble pack built in. It seemed like the shit. I remember bad things, and I remember password codes. Like, there was no save states, so you actually had to like enter in the password code to get to the new level. Ugh.
I got one actually. Kingsfield on the PlayStation.
Kingsfield. Huh?
Is Lily jumping on the table?
No, here, hold on a second. Lily's not allowed on the couch, is she?
No, she's not.
She doesn't want. She doesn't even like want to look at the couch. She's like, I can't do that. Here, 1 second.
I've trained her well. Aw.
Yeah, no, she's good. She's good.
See Lily. She's just
No,
chilling.
No, she's chilling like hardcore. She's doing very, very well.
That's awesome.
Props to Lily.
Oh, I don't even noticed. But yeah, no, I was gonna say at least my story on this. Kingsfield on the PlayStation now. Honestly, I probably should have. If I was thinking of value, I probably should have kept it because now it's actually sought after, and I'll explain why. So this game, like, there was a local used game store I went to, and I saw this game for PlayStation, and it was a older box title, like one of those like long box PlayStation games. Never heard of it. It was called Kingsfield. I think it was like $6, right? It was cheap. So I decided to pick it up. I took it home. I played it one time, and I just remember it was bad. Like, it looked bad. It didn't control well. It wasn't fun. There was not a single redeeming
GPS signal lost.
factor. I could GPS signal lost. That's kind of how I felt when I was playing it. So the point is, I played it for maybe 30 minutes or an hour. Did not like it, and this is how bad it was. Now, this is the first time. I rarely do this, and by this I mean, like, I rarely return a game that I don't like. Like, I just would not do that. But this is one of the few times I can honestly count on one hand, like, the amount of times I've taken a game back to store that I did not like. And even at the time, that was the first time I ever did it. I remember I talked to my mom. I was like, Mom, I don't like this game, like, at all. Can we please take it back to the store? And she's like, well, I don't know. We can try. We can see. And it was a local shop, thankfully. But what happened was I got in the car. We went over there, and I just brought it back. And they asked, is it defective? I said, no, it works. It's just not a good game. And they're like, oh, so you're saying the game works, but you don't like it? And I said, yes. And they're like, well, we're going to be straight up with you. That's not really a reason to return it. If the game was defective, we could swap it out. We could return it. But you're just saying you don't like the game. But you've never done this before. You have a good reputation with us. We see you in here all the time. We're not supposed to do this, but if you want to, I can give you the money back in store credit, and you can buy something else. And I was like, yes, that'd be perfect. So then I decided to go pick something else. I have no idea what the hell I bought. I just know I enjoyed it more than Kingsfield. The reason why Kingsfield is sought after, though, is because it is created by the team, either the same team or some of the same developers or the same company that made Up From Software. In short, it is a early version of Dark Souls and Demon Souls. It is a early game in the Souls franchise. So now people try and go back and they say, no, the reason why it's so hard is because it was supposed to be challenging. And the reason why it doesn't have any sound is like any music is it's all supposed to get you into the atmosphere there. And it's a very atmospheric game. It's like, no. The game is just shit. Okay? The game is shit. It's one of the first games they made. It's shit. It's okay to say it's shit. We don't need to look deeper into it. So that's probably one of the games I regret buying. But I guess I don't have it anymore, so I don't know if it counts or not.
So you didn't enjoy it at all?
I did not enjoy it at all, man. I still have not played it again to this day. I kind of want to try it again just to get a fresh perspective on it. But no, I remember at the time, that was the first game I remember I played where I was like, this is bad. I don't like it. I don't like it enough where I'm going to return it.
So I've never played the Dark Souls franchise, and I'm kind of ashamed to say that because it's that popular, but like that kind of surprises me that something is that closely related to something that popular. But
it's here's the thing: the only thing they have in common is same studio, some same developers. Like it's not at all close to the same type of game. Lily's getting on the stream today. This is great.
No, Lily's getting up in my business. Lily, say hi.
Oh, she likes to do that too.
Hey.
I love that dog.
No, your dog is like, your dog is up in my business, but she's not getting on the couch. That's why I asked, because like, I swear, like, she had many opportunities to get up on the couch.
No, dude,
opportunities to chill.
It is to the point. I trained her enough where it is to the point she will not even attempt to get on the couch.
No, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. You're a good dog. She's coming your way.
Awesome.
Let her in.
Lily, come here. Lily, come here. There we go. She just busted open the door. Hey, what's up?
Yeah.
Anyways, do you have a game story?
Say what?
Do you have a game story, a game that you regret buying?
Oh, which one was it? I don't know. After yours, I can't remember now. That was a good one.
Was it a good one or was it a bad one?
No, it was definitely a good one. Game story I regret buying. Did I have another one?
What?
Did I have another one? I can't remember.
No. Because you didn't say a game that you regretted buying.
Yeah, no, I don't think I have. I can't think of one, honestly.
All right. That's totally cool.
Yeah, I don't think I have many. I mean, like, so growing up, even into my adult life, I don't really get that many games. All the games that I had were very few and far between. I mean, I sometimes I do wish I had a game collection. Right now, I have a game collection behind me. It's fantastic, and I appreciate it, and I enjoy like looking at it. But I'm not the kind of person to have a game collection at all. So the games that I ever ended up buying were ones that I typically stuck with and really enjoyed and played thoroughly. So I appreciate a game collection. I appreciate even like terrible games in a game collection. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I
PEPSIMAN. PEPSIMAN is not a good game, but I looked for it for
both. Oh no,
you
I like
me.
PEPSIMAN. I like PEPSIMAN, Devin.
Yeah, dude, I looked for it. I was in Japan literally about a year ago, right now, almost right now, give or take a few days, and I looked for PEPSIMAN for both you and me. I wanted PEPSIMAN, but I didn't find it.
It's an expensive game, and it's rare as well too.
It's rare. I was in Japan, I was in Tokyo, and I was in the game shops, and I didn't find PEPSIMAN. But what did I get you? I got.
Actually, if you just a little bit, you did get me Kingdom Hearts and Kingdom Hearts 2, the final mixes of.
Yeah. So
they're like literally just like right above your head.
Yeah. So I got some Japanese stuff. I got some exclusive stuff. I got a little bit for me. I saved some for me. So
of course. I need to go to Japan sometime. I'd like to go to Japan.
Oh my god, it's so amazing. I know. And dude, I'm telling you, we plan it. You know, we can go. I've got a tour guide there. I know somebody there. We can make it happen. Like we have me and you could probably have a very cheap place to stay.
No, that'd be awesome. I know I've talked with my girlfriend about going, and then one of my friends, David, we've talked about going as well too. We've tentatively talked about going next year, but there's just it's all positive stuff, but there's just like a lot of in real life stuff is going to be happening next year. So some people have asked, just like, hey, are we still planning to go to Japan? I'm like, I don't know. Let me get back on that. I don't know.
The problem is like 6 months ahead, as far as like buying tickets, is a good time. You know, just a few weeks ahead, like what I did, it's not a great time. And I still got a good deal. But like you want to probably like if you did it like six months ahead, you're probably going to shoot for like $700 maybe for a round trip.
Okay, yeah, that's not bad.
You want to do it like a month ahead, you might be paying like $1,500. It's a lot more.
Like, no, I understand that's how those prices work. No, I understand that.
So that's the biggest thing. But I couldn't house a whole lot of you. Maybe just you.
No, I understand, man. I wouldn't impose like that.
But no, like even if like a bunch of people were planning on going, I would totally like chip in on that and like make it would be an awesome time no matter what.
For sure.
Japan is awesome. The Tokyo area is awesome.
I've been watching Adam Korlick, where he had a lot of videos. He went to Japan. He was talking about he has a lot of game store videos. I'll have to show them to you, or at least link them to you. But he has a lot of game store tour videos and all that. And I mean, the main things he said, he's just like, yeah, if you go to Akihabara, I believe that's how you say it. He's like,
Akihabara,
don't go there to get your games unless unless they have some you can't find anywhere else. That's the most touristy place. That's the most expensive place. Also,
It's
there are
amazing though. It's amazing though.
it's amazing. He's like, it's amazing, but it's also the most expensive, but it is the
It
most touristy.
is.
He also mentioned
Dude,
Super Potato. He's
they
like,
literally
Super
had like
Potato is the most
they had
expensive.
multiple shops. They had multiple shops of like this shop is like a Dragon Ball Z figurine shop. Like, wait, there's like thousands of Dragon Ball Z figurines, and they're like some of them are going for freaking almost $1,000. But Akihabara, I would totally agree. Not a place you want to buy like video games, not a place you want to get like deals, but it has so much stuff.
I want to go to book offs there. Those are pretty much their thrift stores. Which you didn't go to one, did you?
I mean, maybe not a bookstore, but I went to several
No, it's called book off.
I've never been to a book off, but I've been to like a bunch of like video game thrift stores there, like 5 or 6 video game thrift stores that were like just video games everywhere, like cheap stuff, and they also got into figurines like a Gundam and like some card games and stuff like that. But like, never. I don't know if I ever went to a book off.
Yeah, no, book off it's pretty much just a really nice thrift store chain that they have there, and their prices vary on everything. So, for example, this is an example they had like an orange spice GameCube. They could sell one there for $40, or they could sell one for $3. I also found out another thing from Adam's video is they label many things as broken or not working when they actually do work. It's just they might be incomplete, or they might not have a way of testing it. The main thing is with that, though, the reason why they might do that and sell it at a discounted rate is because they know that they are going to be selling to a lot of tourists or people that just want to get the whole thing. So they don't really want to explain, or they might not be able to explain properly in English or any other foreign language that these people are speaking, that, yeah, this is not the whole system, or it hasn't been tested properly, whatever it is. So you can get some pretty good deals getting broken things there as well, too. And yeah, no, we're good on that. Devin's just going to be hopping off here for like a couple of minutes tops. But no, we should be good. Let me see. While he's away, I'm going to grab some of the comments here. So one person was asking about the UK. I don't believe Devin has been to the UK. I've never been to the UK though. I've been to a few places in Europe for sure, but I've never been to any place in the UK. Unfortunately, I'd like to make it over there though. Mario, if you go to Japan, could you go to a Maid cafe for me? I'll try and go to one. There's a lot of places I want to go to. I want to go to Deer Park. I want to go to Fox. No, Fox Village. That's it. I want to go to Rabbit Island. For anyone that doesn't know, like Rabbit Island, it's an island that's just infested with rabbits. Or like there's even a video I've seen where somebody's just like laying down, and they're just having they get completely taken over by rabbits. Rabbits just cover this guy's body, every inch of it. I wouldn't want to do that, but that's how many rabbits there are there. Fox Village, of course, because I love foxes, and it's cheap enough there too. I think it's maybe like $10 to get in or something like that. Also, if you go there at a specific time when you go in, there's like cages of just a lot of little baby foxes, and you can hold them if you want to. And then Deer Park, I found out about it from a friend. It's this park where you just go in and feed deer, and they come up to you and they're super friendly. It's cool stuff. One thing I was kind of wondering though, when I might ask a baby, I think actually no, because Devin was saying, there were a lot of stores just like Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z figures, and I guess it would be okay if it was only for tourist shops. But since Space had a premium there, I don't think there's too many collectors in Japan. But the collectors there do go hard. There was one video I was seeing before where there is it was asking some people who are audiophiles in Japan, and like one guy, he hadn't bought new clothes in 15 years. He had, tens of thousands of dollars worth of speakers. He had an extensive vinyl collection. He had everything hooked up to a separate power source. He paid to get a separate power line installed to his house so he could use that power to power all of his audio equipment so he can get the cleanest signal possible. Like, people there be crazy, but people there are also great at the same time. Let's see. I'm just kind of looking at some of the stuff here. Japan is so cool. Yeah, I can agree with that. I know Tam was talking about Deer Park again. That's why they have money. They don't spend it on unnecessary things. I would assume.
Okay,
If he was talking about that, I'm not sure who they is referred to. But hey, Devin, how's it going?
real quick, I just wanted to interject on the
Sure.
Maid Cafe experience
Oh, okay.
because,
You experienced one. Great.
right, I know I'm a little bit late. I'm sorry, but I did experience Maid Cafe, and I want to give the details on that whole thing. So, Akihabara Maid Cafe, what I would say is nearly the average full experience that American would have. I can't say it's the peak experience because I mean Akihabara maid cafes are probably the more stereotypical things, right?
Yeah.
It's probably not the best. It's probably not the worst, but uh, it was interesting. Maid cafe with my girlfriend at the time. Every very attractive maid in a French outfit called you master. There were people there waiting in line that were regulars, and they were eager. They had sat there with their. I wish I had it in my wallet. I know it's not in my wallet right now, so I'm not going to go digging through it, but I could find it, and it's a membership card, and they had their platinum membership cards. You know what I mean? They were the deal, and they were excited, and they saw their maid. Their maid was like, Ohio, da, 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 da. You know what I mean? It's like, and the freaking guys go, they start freaking out. Like super excited to see their maids. It was a very interesting experience. Um, it was not as theatrical as I expected. These people were excited as shit, and it was not that exciting. I mean, the maids came over. The maids were like pretty. The maids like served you your food. They drew like a little panda on my curry, and they did a little song and dance. I don't know, I fucking remember that it was, but it was not that like exciting. It was very theatrical, but not as theatrical as I expected, and whatever. Like maid cafes are like I don't know, come and go. I
It
wish it
wasn't.
was more
It wasn't
amazing.
your thing.
No, but apparently for a lot of Japanese men, it was their thing because they were very excited. And like I got a picture. I do have like a literal Polaroid picture with like one of the Japanese maids. Like we were smiling and we were doing a thing, and like I can't remember what we did, but we did some kind of like thing, and like I paid for the experience. And it was an experience, and they did like call me master, and they did do a little like showy thing, but I don't know. I just expected just a little bit more in the center of Akihabara at a maid cafe. I expected just a little bit more from like the stereotypical Japanese stuff. You know what I mean? Just a little bit more like I don't
So
know.
I almost feel like the other thing is too, it could be kind of rooted in the culture where I mean over there they're workaholics. You actually have a lot of men and women who are now choosing to stay single and not marry and not pursue, a significant other of any kind because they just want to focus on their career and they go incredibly hard at that. So because of that, they use those maid cafes as outlets for, sexual frustrations or deviancy or whatever it might be. I don't know about the laws of prostitution over there, but I at least know that there are services where you can hire a boyfriend or a girlfriend, not have sex with them or anything, but it's more like you can hire someone to pretend to be your boyfriend or girlfriend for the night, and like they'll come over, they'll greet you at home, they'll make you dinner, they can cuddle up with you, you can talk to them about your frustrations, whatever it might be. And a lot of business professionals choose to do routes like that, to express their sexual urges as opposed to getting into a relationship.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that in that kind of society for sure. I guess that's what surprised me the most is that it wasn't as theatrical as I expected it to be, right? I expected like a full blown experience, and it was like, it's as if your waiter came to you every time, maybe half as much. as in like a normal restaurant. Every time they came over, they just did a little weird song and dance, and then went about their way. And it's like, okay, I got a terrible curry and a terrible coffee.
Good. Okay, because someone was asked about the food, and so it wasn't good.
It wasn't actually good. It wasn't good. The food there wasn't good. Like Akihabara, like middle, like Maid Cafe, center of Akihabara, the food wasn't good. The coffee, the mocha I got was like less than average. Like it was, and then like to get like the meal and like the picture with the lady, like it was like over like 35, like it was like maybe about 40-50 bucks total. Were there like for a Maid Cafe, like maybe once, but like I don't know. That's why it's difficult, right? Because it's like I want you to experience the Maid Cafe. I don't want to tell you not to go to the Maid Cafe because it was pretty cool. But at the same time, was it worth the money? No. So be expected to like spend more money than you want to experience the Maid Cafe. That was well worth it. I don't know. Maybe that's the lesson, right? Is that the lesson? You tell me, Mr. Mario.
I don't know.
I haven't gone to. I don't know either.
Pursuing any of these.
I don't know either. Okay, I went there and I want to go back, but I will not go to. I'm not going to go back to a Maid Cafe, right? I'm not going to spend the money on a Maid Cafe again.
That doesn't
be completely honest.
Like it's nice that you had the experience, so you could at least tell us about it. And I think any future viewers or listeners of ModChat episode 35, like this will go down as a little sidebar in there. It's like at this point, you know, we talk about Maid Cafes. So I think if anybody stumbles upon it, they could definitely learn some valuable lessons from that. Plan to go to Japan, hopefully. Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say hopefully Tavin might learn. He's saying still worth it in my opinion. Then again, I'm a filthy anime watcher, so
you know, I think you should. I think you should go get the experience, and I think you should like get the like inevitable, not regret, but like realization, like me, right? I don't think it's like not worth it to go and experience it and then like come to the conclusion like I don't need to do this again. I'm glad I did it once, but like I can't recommend it, but I can't not, right? I mean, I don't know. It's a confusing thing, right? I mean, I don't know.
There's several things in life I do recommend to people. I'm just like, yeah, this isn't all it's cracked out to be. It's not that good. It's all right. It's definitely overhyped, but you should do it just to experience it.
Yeah, I mean, it's very similar. Now, the Gundam cafes, kind of want to go to.
Oh, you never went
to? Lie. No. Excuse me. I saw a Gundam cafe. There was Gundam, like, actual statues outside the cafe. I have pictures. I'll show you sometime. I didn't go inside because, I mean, we had an agenda. We had things to do. We had places to be. But there were Gundam cafes, and I want to experience the Gundam cafes. I want to experience all the other anime cafes. Like, the Maid Cafe is so stereotypical. Don't lose sight of the other cool cafes out there. There's the Sega Cafe. There's
I don't want to go. I want to go to the Sega Cafe.
Right. I mean, dude, I went to Many Floor Arcade, and there was one that was very similar. That was all Sega. I'm talking like a 5 to 7 floor Sega arcade. That's pretty cool.
Oh, it is. I'm not denying that.
So, like, just, I mean, be conscious. Maid cafes are cool. Maid cafes aren't not worth it, but be conscious of all the really cool stuff in Japan. Yeah. Let alone in Akihabara. Like, Akihabara is a nice hub for some really cool stuff to just get into, some debauchery.
Good. Sounds like you had an awesome experience, which I know we've talked about before, but you know, always good to have on here.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
No, it was great.
I definitely want to go to Japan one day.
I mean, I feel a little spoiled because I went to the Tokyo area, so I was fully in depth in the Tokyo vibe and Akihabara and everything surrounding it. I mean, from very old stuff to very new stuff, the whole entire like Tokyo area is fantastic, but it's huge. So you really can't go wrong, and I really want to go back. I really want to go back. I want to share that Lite experience with a bunch of people, including you, Mr. Mario. I want to share. Oh my gosh. It'd be amazing. It'd be amazing to go back there with you. I mean, there's so much to see, so much to learn. It's fantastic.
Yeah, no, that'd be dope. I'd love to go. I just, as I said, like next year, maybe. It just depends on several things, really. As I said, just inner life stuff has to happen first.
Oh,
yeah,
you're
I'll tell you
telling
that
me.
off the record. I'll tell you that offline.
Oh, you're telling me. I mean, when I went to Japan, it was not like something that was planned. It was something that was like pressured, like we need to do this now or never. And it was like, I mean, it was a do or die situation. Like I'm gonna either do this or I'm not ever gonna go to Japan potentially. So let's do this. I mean, it was a very scary experience, and I took the risk, and it was worth it. Like that's not gonna happen all the time. Those opportunities aren't gonna happen very often.
Traveling does mature you in that way because it exposes you to so many other things. And Trevor Noah, I remember he had talked about this once. He said what he likes to do is, because he knows multiple languages, but he said he likes to go to places like different countries where he doesn't know their native language because he just wants to feel that disconnect, like, holy shit, I can't communicate with any of these people, and like kind of open up his mind to that, like, hey, I need to get out of my bubble.
Well, it's very maturing. I mean, even to the aspect of, you know, when I went to Japan, I didn't know that much Japanese. It wasn't, I'm still not fluent at all. I have like an admiration to learn more, and I am learning more, but by no means am I fluent. So to go up to like, even in the Japanese airport going home, to go up to them and be like, hey, I would like a drink, and be able to like speak that in kind of Japanese and kind of like my parse together words that I've learned since I've been there in the past 2 weeks, and for them to hand me a drink immediately. I mean, there's something to that. There's something to like putting in so much effort and just simply saying I would like a drink, right? And these people are like that don't know your native language being like, here's a drink, and I pay for that drink. It's a very like, it's a combination of like we have such a different language, but there is a universal language, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's intense. It's an incredible experience, and like especially like on people that are probably like interested in your channel, interested in this podcast. I recommend people get to a foreign country, get to an Asian country, go explore.
It's been a while since I've traveled overseas, I would say. Like I've traveled to the Middle East several times. It's actually probably the last place I went to. I was in Jordan mainly. And I don't know all that much Arabic, so I sympathize with all that. It's been so long since I've gotten that feeling. Because I'm not really counting Canada. Yeah, it's international travel, but everyone there knows English, you know? So, but no, when I had that in the Middle East, that was definitely an interesting feeling to get. And also I've been to France before. And yeah, you just have to. One thing I did learn was know at least a little bit of the language and stuff to get by. People will be a lot more inclined to help you out and really understand you don't know their native tongue. It's like, hey, we need to assist you a little bit when you at least put forth the effort. Like, hey, I'm a foreigner in your country, but I'm gonna try and respectfully get my words across in your native tongue.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I can actually distinctly remember a time when I was in Japan, and my ex and I had ordered pizza, right? And we were going back to her place, and we were like, we had saw like up and like from a distance from her apartment, because we were riding by bike, by everything, and by train, right? So we ordered pizza ahead of time. We were going by like bike and by train, and we see from a distance, like it looked like someone on their bike was like approaching her apartment complex and was like walking up her stairs, and we're like, oh my gosh, is that the pizza guy? So I ran up, and I was just like, I said, hi, konbanwa. And he started like talking to me in Japanese, and I was like, like I don't know what you're saying, but like konbanwa means good evening. So like, he approached me and was like super excited to talk to me, and then like my ex walked up and was able to carry on the conversation. But like apparently he was like very appreciative that like even like someone that look like me, who is very different from their culture. Like, I mean, in Japan, like where I was, and even in Tokyo, it was very predominantly Asian. You know what I mean? So a white person coming up speaking, it was just like, hey, like, even like, you know, appreciated me just saying good evening. You know what I mean? Just grabbing his attention. Like, hey, we're the people that are, you know, are supposed to be getting the pizza here. You know, and just that little bit of effort, just a little bit of like effort into, you know, speaking the language, learning the language can go a long way into someone like responding on the other end. Because not only do they know that, like, hey, you're just learning, maybe you don't know that much, I can tell, but also like you're putting an effort. So like, I'll put an effort for you.
Yeah. So put an effort, everyone, if you travel to a foreign country, and try and travel somewhere forward. Traveling's awesome. It's exhausting, but it's awesome.
Yeah, I can totally agree.
Yeah. With that, I mean, we've gone to this Japan thing for a while. I could kind of bring this up here. At least there was one person who they were asking. I don't know too much foresight on this, but any mods that we might be excited for 2018, since we're going to be there in 11 days at the time of recording this. Devin, do you know of any that you're excited for?
Oh man. I mean, it's not surprising, probably, but I'm excited for Switch mods. And I'm not excited to spend more money on Switch stuff because, like, I need to buy another Switch that's gonna, like, I don't know. I'm holding off right now.
Do that
I know I'm
soon.
gonna end up
TikTok, because it's harder to find one that's
I
exploited.
I know, and you say that, and like, I know, and I'm like, huh. I'm debating hard between buying one like soon and getting one that's exploitable at the current version, or waiting until something legitimate comes out, because the reality is I'm very behind on my like own consoles that I want to like keep up to date. So it's like, do I get a console that's not even exploited right now? You know what I mean? And like preemptively hold on to it, or do I wait until it actually comes out and something is, and maybe spend some more money? I realize that like that might come with the territory, but I don't know. The Switch itself is the console that I'm most excited about in general, just because of the handheld, the console nature. It has proven itself time and time again to be the console that I've been waiting for a long time, and I'm extremely happy to see the good press. And if we get some good hacks out of it too, that doesn't kill the console, that doesn't, like, you know what I mean, like totally undermine the perception of profit, as we have seen in some prior consoles, I would think that it would be the perfect console for modding. I mean, I don't know about you, man, but I'm stoked to see what could happen with that.
I know we already have an SDK and all that out there, which I actually need to. I want to set it up at one point because I want to try the real time clock editor and unlock golf. But no, I'd like to see that. I know if I'm thinking of any mod specifically, so I more want to see more development in that sphere. I know with the PS3 exploit jailbreak that we talked about on last episode, that's supposed to be getting a update here soon that is going to be fixing up a lot of stuff, either with like timing or make it more accessible for using different USB ports, and really just make it an even more stable experience so a myriad of users can try that out. On top of that as well, there's supposed to be, like PS3 exploit, they're supposed to be working on not a jailbreak, but a homebrew enabler for systems that cannot handle 3.55 firmware. So that would mean that essentially all PS3s would be able to run homebrew in some variant, which that I would like to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I need to pick myself up a PlayStation here at some point, don't I?
I like my PS4. I've mainly been on the Switch for systems, but yeah, still like it. I was going to say this though, because I have not told you about this. But of course, Devin, you remember us talking about PS3 exploit last episode, right?
Of course.
So one of the guys is in here. It's Jason, also known as Escort Do. A few weeks ago, I actually had lunch with him.
No.
I did.
Okay. Is this the guy that you thought you might hang out with?
Yes. Yes.
All
Yeah. No,
right, that's awesome, man.
yeah. So I was in his area, and then I had messaged him and just said, "Hey, look, I'm going to be in your area," and they were not, because I'd asked about donating to the team before, and he said, "Hey, we're not taking donations for a few different reasons." But then when I found this out, I was like, "Well, look, I'm going to be here like this weekend. Um, if you'd be down for it, like if you don't feel comfortable about it, it's all good." But if you'd be down, like I'd love to, meet up, hang out, and I could buy you lunch. And he was like, "Yeah, sure. I'm not gonna deny free food." So we ended up meeting somewhere, and we got food. We talked for like 2 hours or so, and this guy is just brilliant because essentially, like we're talking, he was a real cool dude, and he just brain dumped like how, of course, not like very, very, very specific details, but pretty much, from a not a high level, from like a medium level to someone like me who doesn't know reverse engineering as much. It's like, hey, this is what we had to do to get all this running. Oh, and these issues, this is why people are having them, and this is what is going on. So I was able to understand the jailbreak itself a lot more. And it's definitely intriguing to see. One example as to what, like, as to something that's been there, but we just needed the right people on it. And the people in PS3 Exploit, at least the one person I have spoken with personally, they have been the right people to get on here recently.
That is awesome. I mean, obviously, the right people, the right culmination of people can make a huge difference in the scene. Talking to people, whether it's in person or over the internet, like it's essential. I mean, if you have a skill, if you have anything, talk to people, communicate. I mean, you never know where it's gonna like lead to anything. Whether it's just a simple friendship or like you're collaborating with someone who is in a like-minded field who might know like a particular piece of something that you don't know that might just end up to like some ridiculous exploit. Like you never know. I was lucky enough to meet Mr. Mario here,
Oh,
right?
thank you.
Like, and you're lucky enough to meet Jason. I mean, it is absolutely insane how these connections can happen. And they're amazing and they're totally beneficial and there's no downside to them, but you have to like actually reach out, right? And I can't imagine how many connections can be made by the development community. These are people that are like very few and far between that are actually reaching out and happening to meet each other in the development community, actually working together. Like people can make amazing things. So don't hesitate to actually make connections, meet people, talk to people, reach out to people. It is totally worth your while.
I will say it also comes down to a lot of human nature and the way you're going to be communicating and all that. So I'll say, at least speaking for myself, I'm more of an introverted person. I am social. Like I like talking to people. I like talking to you, Devin. I like hanging out with you, all that stuff. But I'll keep, my circle of friends close. And then I have to keep a lot of people kind of at arm's length. So for me, I've had to branch out of that a little bit. I'm still careful with it, but there's people that I just kind of reach out to now. And I've kind of had to force myself against the grain in that direction, so to speak. It also comes with how you portray yourself and also, how your delivery is on that. I could say there's a lot of people I know of that I could have, either like collaborated with or I could have gotten to know more personally, or I could have met up with them, but for various reasons, like I might not want to meet up with them, or they might not want to collaborate on whatever it is. I think it's kind of a good example of if you, it could be a bit of entitlement, but it kind of to me comes down to, let's say you really like someone, you want to collaborate with them, whatever it is, you might be a big fan. Just because you're a big fan of them and you want something to happen doesn't mean that they are going to feel that same sentiment. Now, if they do feel it, awesome, fantastic, but just calm down, guys, and keep it cool. I'll just say that if you're going to be reaching out to anyone, I'm not saying with me, but I'm just like with anyone else, just portray yourself well, and see what can happen. But as Devin said, reach out as well too. That's one thing I learned from Nardwar actually. He had a
Oh, dude, Dude, can't be dropping Nardwuar, man. Nardwuar.
He had a TED Talk, and you know how he met, Snoop Dogg and Kurt Cobain, all these other people.
He asked.
That's his big.
Yes.
He asked. Watch it. I would recommend people watch that. Just like if at one point
his TED Talk. He had a TED Talk that was very, very good.
Human Serviette TED Talk. Like that was some truly inspirational advice that I take to heart and use in my everyday life. There's a lot of times like people that I link up with or things I'm able to get or things I'm able to do. I ask because I'm in a situation. I'm like, I'm not doing it now. So if I ask someone and they don't reply back to me or they say no, I'm in the exact same position.
So I'm going to drop, I'm dropping the Nardwuar video in the chat right now. Anyone wants to watch it, TED Vancouver Talk. Maybe we'll post it in the show notes, whatever. But I totally, me and you have both seen the video, obviously.
Yes.
We did not talk about this beforehand, but me and you have both seen the video. It's very good. You just ask. Because that is the thing. I mean, for those of you who don't know the history between me and Mr. Mario, I realized that Mr. Mario posted a video about a game shop in our area that was maybe over an hour away.
I also want to say, Capo, thank you very much for the $2 donation. We appreciate it.
I appreciate it very much. Thank you, Capo. Thank you very much. But yeah, so Mr. Mario, I mean, when I messaged you, I thought you were maybe hour and a half, 2 hour, 2+ hour away from me, right? I didn't approach you like, we need to meet. I mean, it's like, hey, you seem like an interesting person. I've been following you for a while. You seem close to me. Would you like to meet up? You never know how things are going to happen. People are going to get rejected all the time. Don't ever take rejection as like a personal thing. But take acceptance as like a personal thing, right? You know what I mean? Like, yes, I have time for you. Yes, I've got time to meet up with you. Yes, I have time to collaborate with you. Take those things as good things, but don't take like people not having time for you as rejection, because you focus on those positive things and keep following the people that are like willing to collaborate with you and willing to, pursue you. Things are going to work out.
Yeah, and I'll even say with Devin, like, because I never thought that you'd be a co-host on the podcast here. But the reason why I agreed to, talk with him, meet up and everything, I'd seen his message. He portrayed himself well. Like, you were really respectful with it. You're just like, hey, dude, I didn't know you were here. That's awesome. All this other stuff. And then we talked back and forth a little bit. Like, he didn't have any projects that I knew of. He didn't have any homebrew that I'd seen. You have a few videos on your channel that aren't related to anything we do at all here. So there was no... What I could say is, for looking at your, the internet history, the limited internet history I saw of you at the time, there was no benefit in me meeting you. Like, I couldn't grow off of that. So I wasn't using it in a leeching term. But no, like, we talked back and forth, and I said, hey, let's talk on Twitter, something better than YouTube messaging. You seem like a cool guy. You seemed rational enough. I met up with him. Look, we're Devin, you're one of my best friends. That all just happened with him just reaching out and saying, hey, you cool.
Yeah, I mean, you never know what's going to happen. So I guess my point of it is you don't really have a whole lot to lose, right? If someone's going to be like a negative person and isn't willing to accept your offering as, just an extended output, like, hey, seem interesting. We seem like we could collaborate. No harm lost, right? Like, there's not a whole lot invested, but don't hesitate to take those actions to be like, wow, you're really interesting. I feel like we get along, because you never know where things are going to end up. I mean, I totally agree. I definitely don't regret reaching out to you at all, because I didn't have anything to offer. In fact, I think what I had to offer was a lot more private. See, and you mentioned that, like, I'm not a very public person when it comes to my online persona. So I think the things that I have to offer are actually a lot more private than than people realize. Anyone realizes. But it is about, it's about respect, and it's about approaching people, and it's about just being a genuine person. And your pup is just eating up your freaking hand, isn't she?
Oh yeah, no, she's enjoying the attention. And by the way, gaining things off of people, a good segue into this. Devin, look over to your right. Do you see like on the table there, like some unopened tape?
Yeah. Wait. Unopened tape.
You're right. I'm saying like physically turn
Yeah.
your right.
I mean, I see like a packing tape roll.
Yes. Yeah. Lift that up, and there's something underneath it for you.
No.
No. The coffee table to your right, like with the lamp on your right.
Wait, with the. Okay, hold on.
There we go. Okay, there we go.
What is this? Is this what you're talking about?
Yes.
Well, it's a UMD, so it's a PSP media device. But what is it? It's a what is it?
So it has more sentimental value than anything. So first off, Merry Christmas. Second, I could explain what this is, and also third, to anybody who's thinking this is all you got, no, Devin, I got you some other things for Christmas. I'll give them to you offline. But
no. Wait, whoa. This is too heavy, man.
Production trial check disc. This was used within Sony's factories and things to do tests of some kind.
No.
If you try and dump that, it will not dump. It's pretty much a whole lot of nothing, but it's pivotal to development.
No, man.
I'll send you some follow-up information on that as well.
No, no, you can. Please do. But, dang, dude. Dang, dude. I mean, you've got a gift on the way, but, now I feel like I've got to, bro, it's priceless. I can't even, no, man. Oh, man. This is awesome. All right, so we'll put this in. Okay, hold on.
It's really hard to see because of the light and all that, but
right, I know, but
it's pretty much a looking UMD.
Blank UMD, very unsuspecting, and man, this is sweet. So for anyone who isn't watching or hasn't watched since I've been on, PSP by far my favorite console of all time. You ask me anytime what my favorite console ever, whether it's home or mobile, it's PSP. And I thank you, Mr. Mario, because this is awesome. No matter what,
man, that's a Christmas. One of them, at least.
This is sweet.
Yeah, I also wanted to clarify. Someone saying Devin should boot it up. I'm telling you, nothing will happen with that disc. That disc cannot be dumped. It was just a test disc for whatever reason. Not many people know what it does. It's just, in short, it's kind of just, it's a nice memento. It's a whole lot of nothing, but it's cool to have.
It just is, man. That's pretty cool, though. No, I really seriously appreciate that. And, I'm kind of mad. We're going to talk offline. And I hope the person watching hears this, because you had something about what were you wanting? Either a green or a Halo Xbox?
Yeah.
And then I saw oh, someone got that for me for Christmas. And I was like, son of a bitch. If I saw that before this person bought it, I would have definitely got you a dang Xbox.
Well, to be fair, I bought it so the way I do Christmas presents now, this is how it's been since high school, since halfway through high school. My parents ask me what I want, and they're like, you know what? No, just either one, here's cash, or two, you go out, buy whatever the fuck you want, tell us how much it is, we'll pay you back. So I bought that thing for myself, but I got paid back for it.
That's less satisfying.
I know, right? But I have it now, at least. That's kind of cool.
Dang it! Dang it!
Yeah.
Danny, we're going to need to talk offline.
Yes. Hold on. Let me open up this door. She's probably going to go over to you. She whined a tiny bit. The dog wants attention. She can't open the door by herself.
Lily!
There you go, Lily.
Hey. Oh. Hey.
Yeah, she ran the hell over there. Oh, good doggo. And yeah, no, as Lego,
she's doing great.
Your Mr. Mario gives Devin nothing. That is at the core of it. You know what? That is what it is.
The what?
Oh, I said at the core of it, that is what it is. Because somebody was saying Mr. Mario gives Devin nothing.
Oh my gosh, yeah. You know what? No satisfaction. No, I mean, I genuinely appreciate that, man. That's crazy. You doing some weird setup type stuff over here?
I was actually.
Because you know where I sit every time. But no, it's good. It's been a good. You know, how many episodes has it been? Has it been 6?
Since you've been on, let's see. It's been at least since 6 episodes, I want to say. Yeah, no, it's definitely been at least 6.
I think it's been 6, maybe 7.
Yeah, 6 or 7. It's either one of those two numbers.
It's been good though. It's been a pleasure to be on the show, and I mean, I appreciate your diligence. You've been on top of things, and I hope I've made the chat happy. That's my goal every week.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate we appreciate you, man. Now, let's see. This might not be the most safe work thing, but one person's asked the real question here. Devin, titties or ass?
Oh man, I'll have to go titties. I mean,
Go titties.
Yeah, I mean, you can't sleep. I mean, you can sleep on an ass, but like, it's a lot more difficult. And it's a lot more like.
That's a big.
I don't know. Right? I mean, when you can with the tits, they're just big. They're cushioned. You can sleep on them. You can rest. You can enjoy them. Like, you can be face to face with them. With the ass, I mean, you're disconnected, bro. I hate to say it. I mean, I can appreciate it, but it's just not the same.
Yeah. I really can agree with that. I'm actually a little bit surprised. I thought you were going to go with ass, because I've had this debate so often with people. So whenever somebody says, boobs, it always throws me off. I'm like, oh wait, we agree on this. Okay, cool.
Really? Wow. I mean, yeah, no, I feel you, but I mean, I stand by my stance. I'm a firm believer. As long as they're perky.
Oh boy. Yeah. No, let's see. There was one thing I was gonna pick this from Fallen Faith. What made you start your channel? So at least for me, I'll answer this 2 ways. If you want the literal start of it, Mr. Mario 2011 is my Xbox gamer tag, and that is I made it that summer, and I've been using it for a few months, and I started using this name on multiple sites. And I just said, you know what? Because I had several YouTube channels as well. I was like, you know what? I want to claim the name on YouTube. So that's the basic reason of why I made it. I wanted to claim my gamer tag as my new online handle and make a YouTube off that. I guess for actually, continuing with content, it was more, I've always been interested in modding, because I think this is more what people want to know the answer for. Because I didn't start doing any regular modding stuff until years later, at least on the channel here. I always did it, privately or on forums, whatever it was. but it was more just a lack of knowledge. There were multiple things that I was looking up on YouTube where things were outdated, like tutorials and such were outdated, or the information wasn't fully there. So there were a lot of things with the Xbox 360. I taught myself how to do them. I learned all the ins and outs, and then I just picked up my camcorder. I'm going to pretend this is a camcorder. I picked up my camcorder, started just filming, shaky hands and everything like that. Hit the record button, hit it again when I was done, pulled out the SD card, uploaded, and people started liking them because I was explaining things in depth. The quality wasn't there, but the content was there.
Yeah, I mean, even I don't want to say that you had like a lack of quality, because I don't think that you paled in comparison to anyone else that was out there.
Devin, I filmed screen capture software. I filmed my computer screen with my camcorder.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember that. Okay, I don't remember that. I do remember you like filming your hands with the Gateway 3DS. I do remember you not. I didn't see your face really much before I saw you, and I wasn't like a hardcore like subscriber. I didn't watch every one of your videos, so I'm sure you showed your face before I saw you. But I saw your face minimally before I saw you, right? Like from what I knew of you, you were like filming the consoles, filming the 3DS. It wasn't about in-depth knowledge. It wasn't about it wasn't about consistency. It wasn't about quality. It wasn't about special effects. It was literally about the fact, like, I already knew actually how to do almost everything that you were showing. But I just enjoy, I mean, I'm a YouTube person. I watch a lot of YouTube. And I don't know, I enjoy watching stuff that I'm interested in, even if I already know it. Like, not many people do modding stuff, so I was attracted to your videos. So, like, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't have to be about quality. It doesn't have to be about lighting. It doesn't have to be about production. It has to be like, sometimes in the right niche environment, it's like, thank God somebody is doing something on this subject. Like.
Yeah, now I can feel that. Now, Devin, even though you don't upload, you do have a channel, because that's how you contacted me. How did you start your channel?
Well, I guess, obviously, aside from just watching YouTube, one of my only videos is a reply to a Rubik's Cuber. So it was like a Rubik's Cube challenge, and I'm a cuber. My best on a 3x3 is 17 seconds. My most accurate average is a sub 30. So under 30 seconds. I've solved up to 7x7, mega minxes, pure minxes, all that jazz. And I made a response video to someone who was doing a Rubik's Cube challenge. So he solved live on the video, and it was just, can you solve faster than this? And I did my solve and, made a video here and there. But aside from like actual legitimate videos, I never really did it. I never had a camera that I thought was good enough. I never thought I had hardly any materials that were good enough. I got into programming and my passion took forward, but, thankfully you opened an opportunity for me to, I think, express my opinions that are probably far overreaching at times.
Yeah, well, I try. I've told Devin several times, because he's talked about, say, like, sometimes we're just talking. He's like, I've thought of making a channel or talking about this or doing whatever. And I've told him, just like, dude, do it. Especially now, because now that you're an established member on here, it's like you have ModChat as a platform where people know you, so you would get a boost if you started making content.
Yeah, and I would appreciate it. You know what I mean? But it's time. It's time right now. And I would love to. I would love to talk a lot more. And, a lot of times we do keep things in subject. I mean, you talk a lot outside of ModChat. I have a lot of opinions on a lot of different things, ranging from Android to iOS to mobile to development to Linux to all kinds of stuff. I have a lot of opinions, and I would love to document them more. So maybe once I like figure out a flow of making videos that can maybe minimize time and effort and just focus on expressing opinion and expressing the delivery, maybe I'll get out there more.
I'll say this: the more it's like working out a muscle. I mean, the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. And the first time you do it,
right.
expecting you to be good. I mean, the advice I can give you, and I've told a lot of other people, because a lot of people they've told me like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm thinking of doing this. I'm thinking of doing this my channel," and I just tell them like, "Stop talking to me. Do it.
Just do it. Just do it.
You want to keep talking to me about what we want to do and what you want to do and what you're thinking of doing, and it's never going to turn into what happens. What you need to do is you need to start making videos, you start uploading them. You need to, realize that they're going to be shit at first, but you're going to get better. You're going to get into the workflow, and then you can start building up. When you're first starting, no one's expecting you to be a professional. But if you keep talking to me about what you want to do, you're never going to spend that time actually doing what it is that you want to see."
Yeah, and I think, I don't know, we've discussed this. I think my biggest struggle with that is that I already like spend a lot of time on things that I believe are very productive, that are like for my career, for my like, end goal. And I don't think that video making is useless, but it is a struggle to like fit that time in and be like, look, this is worth all this time to learn this other thing, video making, when software development and whatnot is part of like my overall end goal and part of what I'm doing in a daily life and what I can do at home. So it is a balance, right?
So I got a question for you. Then why don't you make like just like literally just start recording, stop recording, upload? Why don't you do some videos like that on things that you are interested in or things that you might want to teach other people?
And
I know,
so
like Escort Do, for example, or Jason in here. Right now, he has a series coming out where it's all about PS3 ROP or ROP, debugging, reversing, all that other stuff. And they're not polished by any means, but it's him. He records a video. They're text tutorials, so the content is there. But he's typing up all these things, and he's just making these videos whenever he can. He's putting out files for people to play around with as well too, and it's just something that he wants to do, and he's putting the information out there over a topic that he wants to cover.
So I will tell you, this is not an illusion or a promise of anything, but I have been like recording more and more just personal vlogs on my phone, and I'll even be in the car because I drive to and from work in rush hour. I'm talking on a 65-mile-an-hour highway. 20 miles an hour is not that uncommon. I've got time. I've got lots of time. And when we're talking about like a phone that's like magnetized to your windshield, I've started making vlogs. Very personal vlogs, right? These may turn into some serious, you know what I mean? Like, I think about stuff for work. I think about stuff for home. I think about stuff for leisure. I think about stuff for profession. I would love to really like start manifesting some of these things. I'm practicing. I'm working on it. Right. My biggest fear, I think, is the time for editing. I want to like nail down an editing system that doesn't take a lot of time. I don't want to spend a lot of time on editing. I appreciate good editing. I appreciate the shit out of it. But I would love to manufacture a pipeline of efficiency, if that makes sense. Right?
So here's a question then to you as well. I mean, even for your first float videos, if you're just doing straight off the cuff stuff, why don't you just get editing out altogether? Because if you're just record or you pause and you hit record again and then you finally press stop and you have that video file out, you can just upload that and you don't need to edit that.
I very well thought about it, or just the cut out the pauses, the ums, the uhs, just that make it a little bit more dense.
I'll be honest, man, that takes a bit of time, but not even I do that. All right, not even I do that.
You're a better judge than I am, so like, I mean, I thought about it. I very much thought about it, and we've had these discussions before. I have, there's certain things that I can talk your ear off that you don't care about. There's not a lot of people that I can like legitimately rant to about, just because it's just the nature of freaking everything, man. Just niche nerd culture, and there's stuff that you can talk my ear off about. So like, I fully expect the potential to make these things into something that people care about hearing about. It's a possibility, and it's strong, and I just want to like one of the main reasons why like I appreciate this whole experience with ModChat, this whole experience with like you in this this production, is that it isn't a huge it's not a huge time sink, right? Like, me and you can like research the topics, me and you can like get our insight, we can express our opinion, and people can appreciate it. I want to express my opinion. I want to like do all that without having to invest the time into like production, if that makes sense.
And that's totally possible. It's one of those things that's really always been possible, but I mean now it's even easier to do so. I mean, hell, at this point, like even if you ever want to edit, like you can literally now you can down like you got a Pixel 2, it's powerful enough. You can download editing applications, like pretty good editing applications on your phone. And if you ever want to, I mean, if you're so inclined, you can even edit videos like on break or something like that. Just like do an edit here, edit there, just save.
Yeah, and I thought about that. At the same time, I'm also like, man, I'm not gonna like edit video on my Pixel. I've got to do it on my computer, because that's like the real thing to do. Like, that's the mainly thing to do. Come on, like, am I gonna edit video on my phone? No.
While I can agree with that, I mean, I'll say everyone starts somewhere, and like I myself, so I have a good setup. Like I have a pretty powerful computer. I have a good microphone. I have a capture card. I have the game consoles I use to record. I have a good camera. I have not this one so much, but I have a good like actual camera. But it took me years to acquire all of this. It's not like I got everything in one go and started going. Like I originally started recording on crappy cameras and crappy camera phones, and then maybe a smartphone here and there. Then I used a camcorder, and I wasn't editing any of my stuff because my camcorder recorded in 1080p, and my laptop was not powerful enough to edit it at all. So I just didn't edit. That's what I did for a while. But then it got to the point, I got my computer, so I was able to bump that up. Then I got a cheap webcam. Well, I got a cheap microphone. Then I got a cheap webcam for a microphone. Then I got a proper microphone. Then I got a capture card at one point. Like it took me years to get all this stuff. So it was, like, a few $100s here, months later, a few $100s there. I didn't go all in. I never did that.
Yeah, and I can totally. I mean, it's obviously the way to do it. I think it's possible. I think it's very possible, and I think it's going to be awesome when I actually invest the time to do it and get my routine down. But just like starting any new project, no matter what, it's going to take an upfront investment. I very much look forward to like getting that flow and expressing my opinions, because it's been something that I've wanted to do for a while, and this podcast has been an excellent outlet for what it has been, and what is appropriate here to like express, which is a lot of stuff. But I think there is plenty of room to grow, and I'm sure that I will invest in that.
You know what? I can agree with David here. He's saying be Devin's New Year thing to do. Maybe we can aim for.
Oh man, don't see. And my buddy, my best friend, asked me. He's like, Devin, what's your New Year's resolution? And I was like, crap, I don't know. I don't have a New Year resolution. Dang, man, like I don't have any. Even Lily's
one video a month.
Oh no,
one video a month.
Oh man. All right. So who was it? oh gosh, I don't know how to say your name.
David.
No, Exeat.
Oh, Exeat.
Exeat. Okay. Exeat. don't be talking about this KDN Live, bro. I mean,
Hey, Lily.
I've heard lots about KDN Live, and like I use Linux full time, so a lot. I mean, that if I'm going to be using Linux full time, that sounds like the way to go. Otherwise, I'm going to have to be booting into some Windows or some. I mean, you use Windows, right?
Yeah, I use Windows because I edit in the Adobe suite.
So I don't know. We'll see. That's my biggest problem. I use Linux full time now. Say what?
I fucking love Adobe. All right? Like I love Premiere.
Love
it. Breathe it, everything. I know you were shuddering of it. It's like, nah, I love it, but I don't recommend it to a lot of people either. Like, if people are using professional tools, I recommend it. But for people starting out, there's been friends where they're like, yeah, I'm just doing some gameplay videos. What do you think I should use? I'm like, are you on Windows? Yeah. Windows has a free editing software. You should use that. You do not need my software to do what you're doing.
My problem is, yeah, I mean, my problem is that I run Linux daily. I shift Win distributions, but I run Linux daily, and Adobe's just not reliable. You could talk about Wine, you could talk about various things, but like
that's fun.
As a whole, I do not believe that like Adobe is a viable product for Linux. And that's my biggest. That's another hurdle for mine, right? Is like I can boot into Windows, but I don't know. It's just another hurdle.
Yeah. No, I understand. Think about that resolution.
I will. No, that's a really good one, and I'm not gonna promise, but I'm gonna, maybe you'll see something on my channel.
Need help with anything? Maybe. You have a resource here.
Maybe. All right. You know what? Calm down. Calm down. All right.
Hey, it's not me. It's a whole bunch of people in the chat who are going off about it too.
Let's see. Is there anything else in the chat that people have been asking about? I've hardly been paying attention. I'm failing this week.
No, there's been good conversation there. Then I haven't seen any other questions here recently. So I mean, with that, we can
bust out Ryzen. No, Ryzen. Actually, on that note, Ryzen is something that I've been interested in. I have a little bit over a 4-year-old CPU right now. I'm doing Intel, NVIDIA, and I've legitimately thought about doing a Ryzen upgrade. The reason why I went Intel, NVIDIA was because I wanted to have potential Hackintosh support, which I did have. Right now, it's not set up, but I wanted to have, Windows, Linux, and Mac OS potential on my custom-built PC. So that's kind of why I've waffled on Ryzen, but Ryzen has looked like some really good stuff if you're just looking for, Linux or standard kind of gaming PC stuff.
Sure, and I haven't really followed Ryzen much. Ryzen really came out like shortly after I built my PC, and I was like, I'm not building another PC. Like
dude, it's badass looking, dude. Some of the fucking benchmarks are looking good.
But here's the thing, Devin, too. I humble brag, but I got a i7 6700K and a GTX 1080 Ti. Like, I'm not hurting for an upgrade anytime soon. Yeah. I'm not the type of person that I
think my CPU is a 4470, and I'm not hurting, and like I'm really not struggling. And what's kind of messing me up now is that I realize that the new CPUs actually require a socket upgrade at this point.
Yep.
So it's doing a mixture of both, like pushing me to upgrade sooner and pushing me to upgrade later. Like, right? And like, oh, I should upgrade the new socket sooner than later. But also like, well, I don't have any issues, so I could ride this, like, the 1150 socket out for as long as I can. But even with like, what is it? 3 generations old now? Almost 4 generations old?
Yeah, 4 generations, let's say.
Yeah, I mean, it's still doing me plenty fine. And I have a 960, a GTX 960, which is still doing solid.
Yeah, no, that works fine. I say, Devin. So I'll be honest. It's been over 2 hours. I also have to pee. You want to take one more question, and then we jet out of here for the year?
Yeah, sure.
I'll let you pick.
Do you have a question in mind, or do you? All right, I will browse. Let me look through here.
Sure.
Tavin, Jevin, just be sure to get the sneaky Microsoft BS disabled if you get Windows 10. Well, I don't know what sneaky Microsoft stuff you have in mind. I would like to know because I haven't used Windows in forever, to be honest. The last major Windows version I used was Windows 7, sorry, and I would have installed it on my computer if it was a little bit more viable. But these days, you have to like modify the ISO just to get EFI support working.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
yeah, Mario, go pee.
Okay. Okay.
Get out of here. Go. I'll take care of this. All right. Anyways,
The dog's coming.
hey, what's up, doggo? Hey, Lily. Hey. All right, she's fine. So I didn't end up using Windows 7 for my last install because just I didn't feel like messing with the ISO. I wanted to give Windows 10 a shot. So I just went with that. I haven't actually got a license for Windows 10 yet, but what I've been looking for is a license for Pro N. From what I understand, the N versions of the Microsoft stuff kind of weeds out a lot of the pre-installed Microsoft software, like the various media applications, whether it's Microsoft Media, Microsoft DVD stuff. It seems to just strip down the Windows 10 install a bit. When setting up in Windows 10, I typically disable everything they have to offer. So whether it's the smart search, whether it's the analytics that they gather from just using the OS, basically disable everything. If there's anything else that I need to learn about while using Windows, I would love to know. But that's the most that I've done as of late. I have been considering using Windows 10 for development, even doing kind of a Windows 10 challenge, which I'll definitely talk about here if I end up doing that, because I do development full-time as a day job. I do development all the time under Linux. I do it under Mac OS, and with the Windows subsystem for Linux, I've thought about actually dedicating a full week to using Windows 10 and Linux kind of in tandem. But I haven't actually dedicated the time to it. So, Tavin, if you have any suggestions, if anyone else has any suggestions for kind of disabling some major defaults in Windows 10, I'd love to hear it, or anything else that would help enable development in Windows 10, I'd love to hear it. But right now, I'm thinking Windows subsystem for Linux and Chocolatey seems to be kind of the two major things that I would need to actually get developing under Linux, or I'm sorry, under Windows. Going to be a major adjustment for me, but I'm actually thinking about doing that challenge here soon. Welcome back, Mr. Mario.
Oh, thank you. I was also going to say as well too with Windows 10. I know it has a lot of stuff that calls back, and one thing I can recommend you not do is there's a lot of websites where they say, "Hey, there's all this junk that listens and calls back to Microsoft with Windows 10. Here is a pre-made ISO with all this stuff disabled, or here's how you could disable all that." I don't in going through that method, because what ends up happening is a lot of it is reliant on it works for a few months, and then updates come, or it just slowly starts breaking and imploding on itself because all that stuff is still needed because they tangled it so well into the operating system. So in short, you can disable a lot of callback things, but there's probably still a few things that are calling back to home base. And on top of that, then after a few months, your operating system kind of implodes. So it would be best to just wipe it and start again.
I have two things. The version I installed was Windows 10 Pro N. So it was a standard Pro N license. or install. No weird custom things. French Sloth has mentioned that N means you can only install from the Microsoft Store, no EXs or MSI. I've
Well,
installed
no,
several
that was
development
NT.
applications.
I wasn't at like Windows 10. I thought that was like the NT version. There's one version out
Yeah.
there. If there's
Well, yeah, I don't
EXEs.
think it was the NT version, but it was the one that was on the Microsoft Service Book or whatever. Or, I don't remember. I know what you're talking about. I can't remember what version it was called, but the Pro N is not that version.
Yeah, because N is the one that
So
you gets.
right, so N doesn't have any multimedia software installed. I have IntelliJ installed on Pro N. I have Chrome installed on Pro N. I have a lot of different applications installed on Pro N. I have development environments installed on Pro N, and I've set up Ubuntu on Pro N with the Windows subsystem for Linux. So not only do I have like development software and like a development environment set up, but everything's working smoothly in that aspect. I haven't used it full time, but while you were gone, I was saying that I think I'm going to try at some point here soon to try and go Windows 10 full time for development using the Ubuntu on Windows and see how that works out. But Windows Pro N, I think, is just like Windows with a few applications stripped out.
Yeah, for reasons to conform to the European standard.
Which, yeah, seems like the license is cheaper. Everything is like a little bit more minimalistic, so I don't mind. I think that might be the version I go with.
Yeah, I mean, it will save you like $5 or $10, and then if you're missing a multimedia player, it's like whoop-de-doo, spend 2 minutes finding, VLC or media player.
VLC. You know.
I know. I actually prefer Media Player Classic, but that's no longer in development anymore.
Interesting. I've never used it, but VLC has kind of been always my go-to. A lot of times with that kind of stuff, I'm like, okay, if it's cross-platform, even if something else is better, I'll go cross-platform because I use so many different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to worry about being on Windows or Linux or on Mac because I'm on all three.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And VLC has been good to me.
Yeah. I don't have anything against VLC. It's just I prefer Media Player Classic if I can, but even now, I think my default is VLC. So I mean, I'm kind of being a bit of a hypocrite here. I don't have anything against it though. I still like VLC.
Well, maybe if I go all in on this Windows stuff, check out Media Player Classic.
I'd recommend it. It's a good software.
I will say, after using Linux for, oh gosh, I've been using Linux for 10 years, like full time. Using Windows 10 and Mac OS, the lack of screen tearing and the consistency of like window management in terms of like just graphical moving around and smoothness and speed, it's unreal.
It's unreal.
But everything else, man, Linux. If Linux could get their window environment down solid, where everything wasn't screen tearing all the time and wasn't all, I don't know, not as up to par, Linux would be pretty much where it needs to be. But I can't deny that, like, switching to Mac OS, even on my Hackintosh, so on my computer at home, my custom built desktop, the smoothest feeling operating system is Mac OS.
I believe it.
The one operating system that was never ever meant to run on that hardware. Windows was designed to run on a desktop. Linux was very much so designed to run on a desktop. They wrote drivers for all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The community wrote drivers for Mac OS. And it's the most performant desktop on that custom built PC.
Maybe that's just a love letter too. It's like we love this so much, we want to make sure everything was smooth. I think the other thing with Hackintosh too, which I find interesting, is it's, I mean, at the very base, for anybody that doesn't know, I mean, of course, it's Mac OS on something that's not a Mac, but the base of it came out where there used to be big differences between iMacs and regular Windows desktop. the plain as day thing was Macs ran on PowerPC and Windows didn't. So what happened was then Apple started using pretty much off the shelf components. They were using, NVIDIA stuff, AMD stuff for their GPUs. They were using Intel CPUs. And people just looked at it and they said, these are all parts that we can buy ourselves and build into a desktop. So why can't we just run Mac OS X on a regular desktop? And then they found a solution to that problem. And Hackintosh is very stable now as well too. It used to truly be, a hacked up thing, so to speak. But no, it's extremely stable now.
Yes, it is from what I've experienced, it's gotten a lot better because I have played with Hackintosh many times over the years with many different PC setups and even down to a netbook. But one thing that I experienced, with the right hardware, I bought recommended hardware for Hackintoshing, right? And I didn't look into it 100% down to every detail, but the recommended hardware for Hackintoshing loses audio after sleeping. Unless I plug in my my speakers into the front casing, not the back, like the front of the casing of my desktop PC. And then it doesn't lose audio after sleep. And there's a couple other weird small quirks, and it's just like, okay, if I have to start plugging in cords in different ports of my PC just to make the Hackintosh work, this gets really annoying really quick. And the bottom line is that there's not a lot of tweaking to do. It's just yes, now it works, right? So you install the software, it works. But there's not a whole lot of give for your setup. So yes, it installs in your setup fine. But if your setup doesn't work perfectly, tough luck. Who knows if it'll ever get fixed? Who knows if those drivers will ever get updated? To be determined. If you get a PC that runs really well right out of the box with all the Hackintosh software, you're in luck. I didn't get that kind of luck, even though I bought recommended hardware. So I'm not bitter about the Hackintosh stuff, but it's just kind of been a realization okay, even in the most ideal of circumstances, the Hackintosh stuff is still not. It's so much better than it used to be, but it's still not a plug-and-play solution.
Mm-hmm. Cool. I'm thinking, what? Because I don't think we addressed a question or anything, did we, Devin?
I don't know. This has been a tangent episode for sure.
I kind of wanted to grab Pixel Butts' question for the last one here.
Ask away, man. Ask any question.
Sure. So last question, and then we're signing off for the year. But I kind of want to get your input on this too. So Pixel Butts was asking, what's your opinion on the PS4, PS Vita update files being watermarked, unlike PS3, which isn't? Do you see this as a problem in the future? And by update files, he doesn't mean regular retail production files. It's development files for, dev kits and test kits and all that.
Interesting. Well, I don't know much about that, but if I'm just going to kind of assume from that statement, it sounds like something that would be easily traceable with homebrew developed with those dev kits.
I don't know if it would be homebrew directly, but more, let's say, and this is really what he's getting at here. So there's a lot of dev kits that are out in the wild that shouldn't be out in the wild. Of course, they would need to get updates to maybe do later things, or if people just want to keep them up to date. You can't get those updates if you can't get those updates officially from Sony or Microsoft or wherever, in this case Sony, unless you're a developer with them. So sometimes these update files or these dev kit, software development kits, will leak out. But those update files that you run on your PC have been watermarked, is what he's saying. So yes, they can be traced back to whoever got that licensed from Sony.
So they're watermarked with individual user IDs or credentials, not watermarked with just a generic watermark for the license or what it is in general.
Correct.
Interesting. Well, I guess I'm not sure what the gain is there. I mean, in general, I don't know what the benefit is for the people behind the dev kit and the people in front of the dev kit. Because people behind the dev kit, like, they already know who already paid for it. And if there's some kind of a crack out there, I'm guessing that would obfuscate that or provide a generic watermark. You know what I mean? So what are you trying to achieve? Who's benefiting and
So
who's losing?
this is more for the homebrew community that they would be utilizing, dev kits that they've gotten through secondhand means, whatever it might be, not officially through the company. And then, of course, this would also prevent any newer stuff from being leaked out, or people would be a lot more hesitant with it. From what I see, I mean, yeah, for people who might be on forums such as like Obscure Gamers or Assembler Games or whatever it might be, it will be harder to get a hold of those. But at the same time, the company is really just doing what they need to protect their assets. And this is
Right.
actually
So
quite a common practice in software development, which is why I was kind of asking you all that. Because one of my friends, I think he's a developer, but he has to work with a company. I honestly don't remember which one. And if I did, I wouldn't name it, but he has to work with a company and he has to hand over his credentials, and everyone who's working with the software stack has to. And when they get all the update files and all the installers, they're all watermarked to all these individual people. His coworkers were disagreeing with that. They're like, "Oh, this is BS. Like, this feels too intrusive." And he was saying, "No, this is actually what they should be doing to make sure that, I'm not going to just take these files and put them on a flash drive and upload them onto the internet somewhere."
yeah, I mean, I can't personally speak to that because I haven't had something that exclusive, I guess, come across my desk.
Okay.
Um, I mean, there's a variety of different security measures that you can take between per user authentication and whatnot, but actually watermarking the source code, I mean, it's pretty intense, but I can see how that can be a thing, right? Um, we even have seen people in side communities doing that, like Raynand put like a subtle hidden watermark in his source code that he was able to trace back to the people that we've mentioned, I believe, in previous podcasts. I know if you at least talk about this offline.
Oh yeah, for I think the DS2 flash cart.
Yep, that's right. So like even people in the community have put in their own watermarks to be able to trace back to like, oh hey, you totally are using my code. You know what I mean? I don't think it's an egregious thing, especially if you're using a dev kit that someone else has provided to you. So uh, this comes down to one of those things that, like, ideally, I think I would love to see the community continue to develop their own SDKs, their own development kits, their own open source everything, their own emulators, not relying on these leaked dev kits. And it's a big ask. And I'm not part of that community, especially as of late. So I can't be the person that, like, spearheads that. But I think the proper way to do it is to develop these open source solutions that everyone can benefit from, that no one can dispute, that no one can provide legal action for, right?
Right. No, I think even though, of course, we're talking about modding and all that stuff, and this kind of goes against it. I mean, I'm just saying this is stopping people like us or stopping people in our community, but that's also what that are doing. Really, the people who should be getting these files, it does hurt to say in a way, and I'm just spitting the truth here. But the people that should be getting these files are the people that are entitled and bound to get these update files. This issue does not affect them at all. Like, this is not an issue for them. It could just stunt, any type of growth we might see in the development community, like the homebrew development community. Which with that, it's already iffy since even straight up, it could be illegal because they'd be using unauthorized SDKs, updates, whatever it might be. But the company's just really doing their job. That's what it comes down to. Yeah, it might suck. Yeah, it might hurt. Yeah, it might be hard to find alternatives of some kind. But at the end of the day, the people who are supposed to be getting a hold of all these files, this does not affect them in a negative sort of way.
Right, right, right. I think so. I agree.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Let's see, is there any other good questions in the chat right now?
Question. That was the last one.
Last question. Yeah. It has been running a little late, hasn't it?
The last one. Oh man. Yeah, or else this could easily go to 3 hours, but I think we're good at this point. It's been over 2.5 hours.
It's been a while.
It has been.
It's almost easier when there's no agenda, huh?
I know, right? Yeah, that's why this has been a fun episode. I would say so. What do you think?
No, I think it's been great. It's been, I appreciate your time here. I appreciate like the last, I don't remember what month I came on here, to be honest. I wish I had looked that up before I got on here, but I appreciate the last, 6-ish months ago, like since I've been on here, full time as a host. I mean, it's been something like that. It's been a great time.
Looking all this up right now.
Go for it. No, I mean, I've appreciated all the time that I've had on this podcast. I've appreciated the time that I was just a guest on the podcast. I appreciate everybody in the chat. Happy holidays to everybody. Happy holidays to Mr. Mario. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody's enjoying their time. And I really appreciate just the appreciation that I've got from coming on as a new host. I felt very welcome, very casual. It's been a great time, and I couldn't ask for anything more. And I'm extremely excited for the new year and, what we can bring to the whole entire thing. And apparently the 1 video a month I'm going to be doing or whatever.
Oh, snap, you're doing it? Please do it.
Maybe. We'll confirm in the next ModChat. How about that?
Okay. Yeah, we'll confirm in the next one. By the way, I was looking this up. Yeah, this will be 6 consecutive months. So this will be the 6th consecutive month you've been on here.
I called it.
Yes, it's been 6 months. Prior to that, you were a guest on one episode and a co-host on another episode.
Okay, yeah. Sounds about right. But I called it. I was feeling the 6 months.
Yeah, let's see. Episode 26, that's when you co-hosted. Episode 28, that's when you were a guest. And then since episode 30, you've been a permanent co-host on here.
I like the 30. That's a good, solid number to start on.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Well, heck yeah, man. No, it's been good. I hope you've enjoyed your time. I hope that you've enjoyed your holiday so far.
It's been great. It's been fun so far. I'm just there's also be one nice thing because so far I have the rest of the videos for the year planned out, uploaded, tagged, and everything. So this is kind of a nice relief because I'm like, oh, this is the last video that I have to put some work on for this year, and it's normally the easier one because I just come on here, talk, stop broadcasting, then I do metadata. It's pretty easy.
That is awesome. And now I'm over here like, man, I've got to get a lot of videos prepared for the new year. So. No, that's good though. That's awesome, man. I'm happy to hear it. I hope that everything just smooth sailing for the end of the year. You can enjoy the holidays, and I hope the best for everyone, man. This has been an amazing 6 months that I've been on this podcast, and I'm excited for the next year to come.
Yeah, and dude, we appreciate having you on here, and I say we as in myself and all the audience here. And again, shout out to the audience. I know he already thanked you all, but the audience ever since we brought on Devin as a permanent host, Devin, the worst thing I've ever seen about you in chat was somebody asked, "Who's that guy with the glasses?" I thought there'd be outcry. I thought there'd be people who are trying to get conspiracy theories or anything else. But no, it went over so smoothly. And then even so, whenever people were asking about Devin, the audience was coming in. They're just like, "This is what's going on. New co-host." And people were very positive of this, that's what I was nervous about, because I wasn't nervous about you being a good or bad host or anything. I knew you do a good job, but I was just like, I really hope there's not a major change. I really hope that this is clean, that people don't get super angry about it.
Yeah, man. No, I'm totally right there with you. I will admit, very nervous about being in front of the camera. Like I alluded to, I had the aspiration to kind of project my views a little bit more, to be on YouTube, to be in front of the camera a little bit more. And I've never really done it. So there has been an element of getting over camera fear, being able to talk a little bit more openly, a little bit more smoothly. But there is, the element of coming into your territory with the fans, the audience, and I have felt very welcome. It's been awesome, and I very much appreciate everyone there. One thing that I will continue to master is being able to communicate with the audience a little more during the actual live show, because it still takes a lot of my attention just to be involved in what me and you were talking about. But rest assured, the chat is literally open 100% of the time through the live show. I'm watching it. If I'm not participating, it's not because I don't want to. It's because just maintaining a show.
He's got one monitor. I have 3. All right, so it's easier for me to reply.
A little bit better. I'm actually I'm split screening a monitor right now. You know what I mean? That is the truth of it. But
yeah.
No, I watched the chat the whole time, and I appreciate every ounce of it. So thank you all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I actually, I'll just say this real quick, because Pixel, he was saying, he's like, he did better than I did on stream. So Pixel, I love the guy, don't get me wrong. And I've even told him if he wants to work on something with me, I wouldn't mind work with him. I like him. He's a good guy, but just not stuff on ModChat. He was on for 1 episode, and he knows about this. We've talked about this too. He was on for 1 episode, and he's the type of guy who, there's some people when they get nervous, they stop talking, they kind of clamor up. No, he keeps talking, and he keeps talking, and he keeps talking, and he keeps talking. And there was a lot of interruptions too. So when it's just when it's just Pixel and I, when it's just 2 of us talking, it's great. But I know if he comes in here, it's like him, I, and Devin, then there would just be way too much overlap and way too much talking. It would just keep going on and on and on and on and on and on. So yeah, Pixel, if you ever want to work on anything like this, let me know though. But
I'm gonna be sick one of these days. You're gonna be sick one of these days. It'll happen.
Yeah.
The Pixel Bus can come on, and we back and forth. Lily approves.
Lily approves. Anyways, this is Mr. Mario signing off for the last time this year on ModChat, guys. Thank you very much, everyone. Whether you're listening to this or you're watching this on a video on demand type thing, or you're here live, thank you all very much. This has been an extremely enjoyable episode. This has definitely been a fun, great time here, and I think an awesome way to end out the year. So, Devin, you want to do the same type of episode next December?
Oh, dude, I hope so. In January and February and March.
No. We have to have those structured.
Okay. No, but I hope that we have many good months to come, unstructured, structured. I'm sure that we'll have an amazing ModChat year, and I thank you so much to everyone, and I'm ready to keep everything going. I'm very thankful, and I can't wait to see where things go from here.
Yeah. Oh, well, things go from here. Now you're going to get your presents after we stop this broadcast, so. Yeah.
Maybe.
Anyways, this is Mr. Mario signing off. Thank you all for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this, a like would very much be appreciated. This is assuming this is the video on demand version here. Leave your comments down below, all the other fun stuff. You can find myself on Twitter, Facebook, Discord. Discord's where I'm most active, and Twitter. So all the links will be down below for that in the YouTube description here. And then, Devin, where can people find you?
Well, I'm on the Discord. If you ping me, you'll find me. I'm a little bit of a lurker when it comes to that kind of thing. But if you really want to get a hold of me, message me on Twitter, @me on Twitter. Paranoid Coder is my handle. So, yeah, just get a hold of me if you need me, and I'll see you guys around.
All right. Well, everyone, have a great rest of the year. We very much appreciate everything. And until next time, see you all next year.
Peace.